What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
5AC. Chapter 86 The Realm of God. Turn back time. Advertise here. Open black lens bracket. You have mastered the divine power to a certain extent. You have found the method of using the divine power and the concept of its essence. You have an epiphany. You have comprehended the Super Saiyan God cultivation method. Close black lens bracket. Super Saiyan God training method. Super Saiyan Advanced who has integrated the Superman training method. After you master the divine power, you will understand the existence of God and successfully embark on the road of Super Saiyan God. Simply put, Lee already has a concept of Super Saiyan God in his mind. Sure enough, it appeared, just as I thought. Lee feels the changes in herself and knows that she has successfully followed the path she set for herself. After Super Saiyan, his plan is to integrate the power of Superman. Now Superman's training method is integrated with Saiyan's training method. After that is the path of the Super Saiyan God. But he didn't expect it to be so fast. Originally, he thought he was going to get rid of some gods. Get more divine power to touch the threshold of Super Saiyan God. But he didn't expect that one egg would give him a chance. The Super Saiyan God, the legendary savior, the Saiyan God. Its powerful strength does not overflow from the appearance, but it has truly stepped into the realm of gods and mastered the existence of divine power. There are many rules in the universe. In the Marvel universe, the rules of God are even scattered to the point that even a single plague belongs to one of the rules. And the rule touched by the Saiyan God. Chi, strength, speed. All fighting rules are applicable to Saiyans. The most basic ones are the use of strength and energy, the change of skills. At the end of the day, it's still fighting, constantly fighting to strengthen your own combat ability, and constantly integrating more rules is the key to progress. Try it. After a sound fell, Lee stood up and began to try the use of this super harmful God cultivation method. His comprehension does not mean that he comprehended and then started to practice. It's about starting to step into this threshold, and only after starting to practice can you comprehend the specific follow-up. Super Saiyan God. Lee feels the divine power in her heart, which slowly overflows to her body. The power of S cells blooms instantly. Blue flames stretched across the surface of his body. He had already entered the full power state of Super Saiyan 3, and his hair had reached his waist, but at this time he also began to withdraw slowly. 08 turned into normal hair. The ordinary black hair instantly replicated the surface, and with the help of the blue gas light, it seemed to also reflect the ice blue color. Boom. Sudden. Just when the blue light had reached a limit, almost turning everything around into blue. One time. Immediately after, the chi dissipates and disappears. Everything is back to normal in ice blue. Lee turned into an extremely ordinary appearance, as if he had never practiced the super subhuman cultivation method. Standing in the universe, Lee didn't breathe, didn't engage in energy absorbing, just stood here casually. Looking at a planet in the distance, with a thought. His whole body instantly appeared on the surface of this lifeless planet. Turn around again, back to the position just now. Without teleportation, the movement speed of the physical body he uses exceeds the basic speed by several times. With a finger raised, the simple energy gathers like this. There is no condensation of chi, but with a random finger. Planet explosion. Chi doesn't need to be condensed, it can just be shot out randomly, without the slightest waste or diffusion. The condensed chi of the previous qigong wave is being launched, but the chi will disperse when it condenses, and it needs chi to maintain when attacking to ensure the distance and power of the shot. But none of these are needed. This is the power of the Super Saiyan God. But there seems to be something missing, is control. Lee's frown is a bit confused, because his current state is the advanced stage of Super Saiyan God. But it actually feels like it is countless times stronger than Super Saiyan 3. It's just that the strength has become stronger and the speed has become faster, but what about the rest? Fighting is the way of a Saiyan. Lee's eyes lit up, and he understood the problem. Saiyans are a natural fighting nation. What they want is not the power of rules, not to follow the law from afar, nor to turn back the time of pretending. What really matters is power. Go to fight. Fight to defeat everything, fight to destroy everything. The point of the Saiyan God is not to master the rules. It's about resisting the rules, not being bound by any rules. Reverse time, but not me. Destroy everything, but not my existence. Curse, it doesn't work for me. Prophecy, it can't predict me. With Lee's penetrating insight, his understanding of Super Saiyan God training method has become more and more profound. The heaven-defying comprehension makes him, even if he is not practicing now, his cultivation method is also improving rapidly. Can't bear it anymore. When Lee was thinking about these things, he suddenly found that a chi in the distance was constantly urging. This is the anger he left for Ronan. This chi has been vibrating non-stop for a while, sending out signals. So when he was comprehending the cultivation method, he was startled awake. But he didn't care because he wasn't in a hurry. Now the trembling of chi is getting more and more intense, which also means that the other party is getting more and more anxious. Lee knows, Ronan can't take it anymore. This guy is still the supreme accuser, alas. Lee really has nothing to say. He has such a big name, he has already been reminded, yet he can still go this far. Shua, a departure. Lee appeared on the spaceship. Why is it the first spaceship built on the Earth, so it is not appropriate to throw it away? There is also an artificial intelligence JARVIS system on it. Counting it, JARVIS is now infinitely close to a person, and it is a pity to leave it here. With one hand on it, Ailee's thoughts instantly perceive his own chi. Far away, as if in another galaxy. But no problem. Shua, Ailee's whole body disappeared instantly with the JARVIS number. The Three Rivers Galaxy once again fell into desertion. For a galaxy, the loss of a star does not change much. At most, there will be wandering or passing adventurers in the future, who will be a little surprised to find that the planet Yigo has disappeared. But they must have thought that the planet Egg had changed its location. Never thought of being wiped out. Xandar, Ronin Chaser Guardians of Galaxy, that is, Ego's son, Star-Lord's team. The temporarily formed Ego is similar to a squad of space mercenaries. They took the cosmic orb, that is, the power stone, and Ronin wanted to get it too. So I kept chasing here. With huge amounts of impact, Ronin successfully invaded and beat everyone to pieces, no one could resist. People of Xandar, forsake your humble faith. It's time to welcome me. Pizza Hut, yay. Ronin's speech was extremely arrogant, and it also caused everyone on Xandar to panic. But before his speech reached its climax, music suddenly sounded. Star-Lord of Guardians of Galaxy played faintly at this time, and then jumped up alone. Humming, Xingju successfully distracted Ronin's attention. Then, under a shell from Drax, Ronin's hammer was directly shattered, and the power gem inside appeared like this. Immediately afterwards, a touching and tearful plot appeared. Star-Lord grabbed the gem with his bare hands, and the rest of the Guardians of Galaxy followed closely, sharing the power of the gem. Ronin was also completely wiped out in the explosion. Ailee, you liar. At the last second, Ronin tried to communicate the chi in his body. He is very aware of Ailee's strength, he believes that the other party will definitely be able to save him. No way, the only person Ronin can think of at this time is him. What else? Thanos. The other party will come to save me. It's really a joke. If Thanos didn't complete the task, if he knew his situation, he would be the first to kill himself. At the moment of shattering, Ronin only felt remorse, if he had known this. Who are you calling a liar? Ailee's voice sounded. I'm not dead yet. Ronin was a little strange, the explosion just now must be real. I was indeed directly destroyed and decomposed by the power of the power gem, and there was no possibility of surviving at all. According to the normal process, his soul will be taken to the latitude of death, and it is unknown who took the soul. But why does the voice of Ailee appear? He died too. Hey, can I talk now? Slowly, Ronin's eyes were able to open. Looking around, this is still the position just now, the place where he was destroyed. His body slowly recovered from the explosion just now, and countless fragments overlapped little by little. It's like when the explosion starts to reverse the trajectory. The fragments of the limbs that had been flying out turned into a combination, and the cells reunited. The head is normal, the body is restored, and the limbs are back to the body. Even the ground under his feet, which just exploded, has returned to its previous appearance. And Ailee was standing in front of him. No, who are you? Damn, why revive him? Be careful with Star-Lord, something is wrong, this guy can resurrect people. On the side, several voices appeared one after another, and the angriest one was tearing his throat and roaring. A woman with green skin blocked him, and a modified raccoon watched Ailee cautiously, pointing a gun at him. I don't think he's easy to mess with. A shirtless, tattooed, muscular man looked at Ailee silly. I thought you wouldn't come. Ronin looked at Ailee in front of him, then at his body, and then spoke. He still can't believe that he can still be resurrected. How did you do it? Ronin didn't understand, who could do this? Reverse time. Ailee replied. Random and simple answer. Ronin blinked. The black graffiti around the eye circles combined with Ronin's sluggish eyes, it is obviously a serious occasion, but it is a bit funny. Ronin. Do you know what you are going to say? Why do you say such things so calmly? Reverse time. Magician. Even the most powerful magician he has ever seen can't reverse time. No, the legendary boss of the Magician Association deep in the universe, Ancient One magician seems to be able to reverse time. But what the other party is reversing is lifeless time, if it has a soul, it will definitely be killed. Death takes away, but his own soul, he didn't feel that someone took it away, nor did he feel that he was brought back. Ailee didn't explain because it wasn't necessary. Explaining to him is a waste of words. He didn't use any time gem, but purely reversed time, which is another field of time manipulation, a time law that overrides time gem. Angel Weiss, time method. You don't need to thank me, this is to help you once. Hearing Ailee's words, Ronin hesitated for a second. I just gave the star map, this favor is not as good as saving my life. I definitely know, so the gem belongs to me. Ailee said casually, as if he had confirmed the ownership of the gem, and no one could question it. Ronin didn't speak, because the power displayed by the other party didn't need to be told to him at all. Being able to say that to myself can only mean that the other party wants to make friends with me. Ronin, how can he to make friends with each other? Even though Ronin's personality has always been relatively brutal, he is also a little brainless and arrogant. Maybe standing in this position, also understand the meaning of the existence of the strong. Hey, what do you think you're talking about? I have the gem. Suddenly, a voice interrupted the conversation between Ailee and Ronin. The huge amounts of voice made the other party a little rough, as if he was afraid that others would not notice him. Be careful, there must be something wrong with this guy. I'm on top of him. Feel. Gamora grabbed Xingju to stop his rash move. Her arms were still trembling as she felt a sense of familiarity in Eilee's body. This confidence, this casualness. Very similar to her father. This is a representative of strength, a symbol of strength, and a temperament that can only be possessed when it is so strong that it makes people tremble. Thanos. Looking at the figure of Eilee, Gamora thought of a person, the existence of Thanos. And they all know that the other party can resurrect a person at will, such a move already represents the strength of the other party. Don't be afraid, Star-Lord reassured Gamora. If we can defeat Ronan once, we can do it a second time. Isn't it a new enemy? I'll be in the front. The gem is in our hands. After Xingju finished speaking, he tightly held the box containing the Luang gemstone. Xingju, I have some sad news for you, your father is dead. Eilee looked at these people, and it was a crit when he opened his mouth. For a moment, Xingju froze in place, a little dazed. Ah, Rocket Raccoon was also taken aback, was he joking? Hehe, is this a curse word from the other planet? Drax said puzzledly, rubbing his head. What are you talking about? I don't even know who my dad is. Xingju became angry, because the words must be cursing. It's true, I just killed Egg, and you're dead. Why do you think you were not blasted by the power gem? Because your mother is an Earthling. Eilee didn't care, and then looked at the planet. Xandar. It is not easy to finally see a planet with so many lives in the universe, and it still has a technological civilization. After the end, you can walk around here to see if there is anything interesting. Eilee looked around, and this is when the real-time reversal ends. Ronan has completely returned to normal, and the flow of time here has also become normal. At the same time, the existence of Eilee and everyone has become the same space. For a moment, at the moment of changing to the same time flow rate and being in the same space, everyone noticed something was wrong. Ronan and the others who were closest were the most obvious. The first time they saw Eilee's back, there was a huge amount of pressure directly on him. It seems that the existence of the other party is not something to look directly at. Subconsciously, Ronan wanted to kneel down. And others are not feeling well. Guardians of Galaxy, including Star-Lord. The existence of those Xandar stars behind it. Everyone felt overwhelming pressure. This pressure caused them to kneel directly on the ground, and cold sweat emerged from their bodies. The more front the person is, the more obvious it is. Xingju and the others fell directly to the ground with both hands on the ground, they couldn't resist. This guy, what more? Xingju couldn't help opening his mouth, he couldn't get up, and the other party didn't do anything, and he was like this. How to spell, get up. Xingju thought of the power he had when he held the power gem before, but now it disappeared. Seeing this scene, Eilee remembered that he seemed to have forgotten that he was in the state of Super Saiyan God. Chapter 87 Power Gem, the Karitas attack the Earth. Advertise here. Eilee did not release the power. He didn't even use chi to take the initiative to do things like coercion. Everything is flat, just standing here so casually, and then maintaining the state of Super Saiyan God. In this state, everything is normal. The appearance is nothing special. Originally as a young man, Eilee is only 15 years old now. And the state of Super Saiyan God will make him younger, but he is already young, so naturally there will be no change. Potentially significant changes. It should be Eilee's hair and eyebrows, with a trace of fluorescence. Fluorescent black. Very special color. Red and benevolent black pupils also appeared in his eyes, and there was a golden red flame-like aura all over his body. But this aura is no longer the aura that showed combat power before. It is not the chi that appears on the surface of the body during battle. It's an aura of other golden flames. The state of the Super Saiyan God is the foundation. Eilee integrated Superman's ability, and it's a step further. This aura is transformed from divine power. It will not become his combat power, but it will subconsciously produce a coercion. In the eyes of ordinary people, they cannot feel the breath of God. But they can feel an overwhelming pressure. It was as if a mountain was pressing on them, unable to resist at all. Your strength has taken another step forward. Ronan behind him couldn't help but speak. His vision is higher than those present, and so is his strength. If it wasn't for Xingju and others to defeat him with tricks, there would even be the help of the power gem. He stands here, it is impossible for anyone to beat him to death. So in terms of strength, Ronan is definitely the scariest present. He could feel Eilee's aura coming from divine power a little bit, this feeling was even more exaggerated than when he was in front of Thanos. But even so, I definitely won't beep when I'm fighting. Eilee glanced at Ronan speechlessly, he could lose an overwhelming victory. This way of fighting is really bad. Ronan looked a little embarrassed by Eilee's ridicule, and he was too embarrassed to refute, and he didn't dare to refute. As for the power gem, I will accept it. After all, this thing is still interesting. When Eilee spoke, he raised his feet and walked forward, facing Xingju. No, I can't give you. Xingju wanted to speak despite the pressure, but his voice was extremely weak. How he resists, who can't even stop the coercion, is simply a dream. Exploding this kind of thing requires you to have this strength. And Star-Lord, no kidding, he was the weakest among those present. In the past, he might still have some abilities. After all, he was Yi Ji's son. Even though Yi Ji's sons are countless, he also inherited part of his power. It's a pity that Yi Jie is dead now, and the power scattered by Yi Jie has disappeared. He is now useless except for the DNA of the god group Yi Jie in his genes. Give him. Suddenly, Gamora spoke and asked Star-Lord to take it out by himself. Xingju stared at Gamora in surprise. Then one of the two eyes flickered and understood the meaning. Give you the gem, you spare us. After Xingju understood Gamora's meaning, he couldn't be too obvious, so he had to pretend to beg for mercy. No, Drax was the most reckless. Seeing that Xingju was going to compromise, he immediately jumped out to stop him. Stay where it's cooler. Ai Li then waved. Before Drax even reached his eyes, his body was directly sent flying by a force. Hitting Ronan's spaceship, a big hole appeared, and passed out without any movement. A meaningless condition. As soon as Ai Li stretched out his hand, the box containing the power gem fell into Xingju's hand. The Star Lord who lowered his head subconsciously showed a smile, and smiled at Gamora. They have seen the power of the power gem. At the collector, a maid wanted to get the power gem, but the moment she grabbed it, it turned into fly ash. And just now, they almost died in the hands of gems. He even used this method to trap Ronan and let him die suddenly. Ai Li wants to get gems. Then give it to him, let him die here directly. That way they don't have to fight at all too. Don't want. Ronan saw that Ai Li disassembled the box, emitting the light of the gemstone, and hurriedly made a sound. There's something wrong with that gemstone. Ten Shin's touch of the mighty force will make you. Ronan thought that Ai Li had never owned the power gem, so he didn't know that the powerful power on it would destroy everything. So I wanted to remind, but I took it back halfway through, and stopped talking in embarrassment. Seeing Ronan's reminder, Xingju and Gamora's hearts skipped a beat. If he hears the reminder and doesn't touch it, he'll be in trouble. But I didn't expect that Ai Li didn't seem to hear his voice, and his movements didn't stop at all. Immediately, several people breathed a sigh of relief. This guy must be lost in the power of the gem. Even such a strong man can't resist the temptation of gems. Sure enough, they are the only ones who can ignore the temptation. Xingju looked at Ai Li's hand reaching for the gem, waiting for the final result. Come closer, come closer. If you touch it a little closer, you will instantly become a fan. Xingju's smile froze suddenly, looking at the other party at a loss. Ai Li's fingers pinched the power gem, picked it up and observed it. There is indeed a force subconsciously wanting to impact him. The strength of this force. It is probably the intensity of a qigong wave of Ai Li's full strength under ordinary Saiyans. It's quite powerful, and ordinary existence can't hold back this leveling at all, and even an instant burst of power can destroy a city. Where his eyesight is not enough to see. A random force pressed down. In an instant, the power gem is like an obedient rabbit, and the thought of jumping no longer appears. Did you change the gems? Damn it, Star Lord, you want to swallow the bounty. Rocket Raccoon saw that Ai Li was fine, and immediately thought of Xingju. This possibility is the greatest, and it must be done with his character. Fart. That's a real gem, I didn't touch anything. Xingju hurriedly explained. Seeing that even Gamora doubted himself a little, Xingju felt distressed and almost spit out in one gulp. What? Ai Li turned his head and glanced at Ronan, and then looked at the Guardians of Galaxy who were starting to fight among themselves, a little suspicious. Then I understood what they meant, and couldn't help but smile. You don't think the power of a gem can kill me? And it's still an unused one, and this little wave that is simply released can wipe me out instantly. Do not make jokes. Ai Li couldn't help laughing. If an existence like him could be killed so casually, then the power of the gemstone might be a bit too much. In that case, it would not be Thanos who collects gems. But the four gods. As a half-race person, you can afford gemstones, do you think others can't? Ai Li looked at Xingju and asked aloud, what made him feel so special? I'm so confident. Xingju blushed a little at what he said, not to mention, he always felt that he was the protagonist. Otherwise, why does he always survive catastrophe? Why are there so many people on the Earth? Only he might enter the universe. Only he held the power gem and didn't die. The experience from childhood to adulthood made Xingju feel that he was born with a different existence. Okay, I'll take this gem. Ronan, leave a few men behind, I want that kind of scientific talent. Then you can go. Okay, but this gem is. Ronan also knew that it was pointless for him to stay. Ai Li wants to take the gem, he said no. The two had only met each other twice, and he had taken advantage of the other party's resurrection, so how dare he go against the other party's intentions. But thinking of the person who asked him to find gems, Ronan still felt that he needed to remind him. Thanos. Ai Li understood Ronan's kindness when he heard what he said, and smiled. Hearing this name, a person suddenly ran out of the big hole in Ronan's spaceship, it was Drax. Who said Thanos? I'm going to kill him. Drax, who rushed over, was extremely angry, and was about to come towards Ai Li. Boom. Ai Li followed with another wave, and the opponent was entered again. At the scene, Gamora was also shocked, looking at Ai Li and Ronan. Thanos is her adoptive father. That's right, he asked me to find the power gem. Ronan nodded. It's okay, what do you say when you go back, don't cover up for me. As for whether Thanos will be angry. Ai Li laughed suddenly, he didn't remember Thanos getting angry yet. It may be that in order to show Thanos' domineering and extraordinary bearing in the movie. When encountering anything, Thanos has an indifferent attitude, as if he doesn't care about all the mutations, and the situation is calm. He was quite curious about what Mie would look like. You said that the gem was robbed by me. My name is Ai Li, I Lifisk. I am a human from the Earth in the solar system, he knows. Earth. Oh. Ronan wrote down Ai Li's full name and repeated the location of the Earth, then nodded. Xingju was taken aback. Earth. Earth in the solar system. Ai Li is a native of Earth. A compatriot. The excited Xingju was about to stand up and confess his love. By the way, bring me a word to Thanos. Ai Li spoke again, interrupting Xingju's movement. Just say, the Earth is under my care now, no matter whether Odin dies or not, Ancient One goes or not. As long as Thanos enters the solar system, I will kill him. The voice gradually cooled down, and the momentum displayed instantly made everyone kneel down again. Ronan is also included this time, looking blankly at Ai Li. Can I say it myself, will I be angry if I say it is gray and heavy? Ronan left anyway, leaving 3 researchers behind according to Ai Li's request, all of whom were scientists who followed the fleet and knew everything about the design and technology of spaceships. Ai Li's state has returned to normal, although he did not enter the god of God Saiyan, but the coercion of the divine power on him still exists. But it won't make people fall to their knees uncontrollably, it's just that they tremble when they look at him. I am also from Earth. Xingju stood up and spoke at this time, wanting to get closer. They're all from the same planet, this guy's thighs seem to be pretty good. And then, Ai Li wondered, looking at him, what's wrong with the Earth? Xingju didn't know how to speak. I don't care where you are. There are too many people on Earth. If I meet someone outside, should I have a drink with you? Ai Li replied indifferently. To be honest, Ai Li is not interested in the saying that the villagers see tears in their eyes. How to say? Maybe it's because Ai Li was from Zhanye in his previous life, not from Hexi, nor from his hometown. And Star-Lord and him, that is an Earth. What a fart fellow. Didn't you let us go because I'm from Earth? Star-Lord still asked. He always thought that Ai Li was so strong that he took away the power gems and didn't kill them because he was from Earth. But now, isn't it? You're so embarrassing. Ai Li ignored his words and walked towards the interior of Xandar, followed by 3 carry scientists. So you're afraid of killing me and Thanos coming to trouble you? Gamora's cold voice sounded, as if he had grasped Ai Li's thoughts. Then think of the other party asking Ronan to bring a message to Thanos before saying something to threaten the other party. Snort. Gamora is sure, the other party dared to say that because he bet that Ronan would not dare to share the same words with Thanos. Taking advantage of the trend, he wanted to gain some power here, so that everyone thought he was not afraid of Thanos. Ai Li really stopped this time and looked at Gamora strangely. Could it be that even alien women are so ordinary and confident? Isn't it? Gamora seemed to see through everything, and asked sarcastically. At the end of the day, a coward who is afraid of Thanos. Boom, boom. In the next second, an energy wave directly hit Gamora's body. There is no extra movement, just casually raise your hand, and a Qigong wave is sent out. The powerful force directly blasted Gamora out. There was an explosion, and the Qigong wave hit Gamora on the ground and exploded directly. Gamora, Xingju and the others were taken aback and wanted to rescue her, but they were afraid that Ai Li would do it again, so they could only be cautious about Ai Li. Don't think I won't kill you if you have a role to play. Tisk tisk, really narcissistic. Shaking his head, Ai Li continued to walk forward. The opponent was killed by the blow just now. Have no idea, Ai Li is just a random blow, it's fine if she dies, if she doesn't die, it's her fate. Talk to yourself like this, do you really think you are joking if you don't teach yourself a lesson? He grew up in an American gangster family, and his adoptive father is Jin Bin, the underground emperor. Don't forget, Ai Li is not a saint. Why let you go, the Zhuang will be the one. Ai Li thought for a while as he walked, and then set his eyes on Rocket Raccoon. I appreciate you, Rocket Raccoon, to be honest, if you are willing to go with me, I promise to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. After all, you are the only existence here that I really like. Rocket Raccoon was a little dazed. Can you help me accomplish what I want to do? Perhaps. Stop joking. Rocket Raccoon is our partner, so he won't go with you. Star-Lord jumped out and shouted. It doesn't matter, just refuse. Ai Li waved his hand, and the figure had already left the ceremony. Rocket Raccoon, who came back to his senses, looked blankly at Star-Lord. This guy, why do you refuse for me, bastard? I'm Groot. By the way, Gamora. About a week has passed. Ai Li has been on Xandar these few days, and the people he met are all natives on this planet, and they are also existences who have entered the interstellar realm. The opponent's science is really good, whether it's the battle fleet or the accelerated space jump of the spaceship. These are the things that Ai Li wants to get. By the way, a contract was also signed, which is an intercommunication treaty between Jin and Xandar on Earth. Those Kree scientists are modifying Ai Li's spaceship these days. Transform the JARVIS into a spaceship county from the ground up. With the help of the Xandar stars, it directly became the most advanced one. Ai Li also learned these knowledge by the way, and mastered them all. What's the matter, Ronan, you still have time to find me. It seems that you are quite comfortable. Ai Li looked at Ronan on the other side of the call and asked strangely. It's good that this guy went back to find Thanos if he wasn't dead. Is there still time to fly the spaceship to the galaxy of Xandar and come to make a phone call? I received news that the Earth seems to be in crisis. It seems that the Karitas are going to attack the Earth. I remembered that your hometown is the Earth in the solar system, so. I see. Chapter 88 Avengers Assemble. Earth Wars. Seeking a monthly ticket. Advertise here. Enjoying the service of Xandar Star. Eating local and cosmic delicacies. By the way, when he was recording the cosmic star map here in his mind, a call request was suddenly delivered. Ronan's words made Ai look a little serious. He didn't expect a Kurita to attack the Earth at this time. Thank you for reminding Ronan, good job. Ai said to Ronan, that the other party was willing to travel thousands of miles to talk about this matter at this time, which is indeed very good. It's nothing, after all, you saved my life. Ronan replied honestly. Okay, we are all friends, you can go to the Earth to play when you have time, I will welcome you. Hanging up the call, Ai didn't ask how the other party was doing with Thanos. During the call just now, the face of Dufu didn't look very good. Although there are black stripes graffiti on Ronan's face, the faint wound can still be seen at a glance. My own time is reversed, but I can see clearly. At that time, there was no injury on Ronan's face, so it is obvious where the scar came from. Beaten by Thanos. If the other party doesn't say anything, it's not embarrassing for the other party to bring it up, just pretend not to know. Thanos is quite irritable. Could it be that Ronan really had to bring his own words with him? So Thanos just let the Kuritas attack Earth now. It seems that it is not impossible, and it makes sense. He stood up and picked up the star map in front of him. The star map is a gift from the Xandar stars to himself, and it is also a friendly item, so it can be regarded as an offering. What is recorded in it is the interstellar distribution map known by Xandar to the entire universe. It can almost be said that it includes the currently known planets, or most of the planets that have entered star civilizations. There are even gazing on it, the status and strength of each planet's survival. Very good, as long as this thing is put on the market, it is said that it is worth at least the price of one life planet. Might not be able to buy it. It is also very good to take this thing back home and keep it. He just remembered this star map in his mind, after all, he couldn't fly with this star map. Let's go. Since the Kuritas attacked the Earth, I should go back. Otherwise, according to the attitude of those hidden guys, they will definitely not help. And the rest. Tony can be regarded as a fighting force, and Gwen is also good, but there are not many people left who can. Maybe the group of guys in the gang can come out and fight, but there will still be losses. Those are all Jin Bing's darlings, and the death of one of them will make him feel distressed for a long time. Thor was killed by himself, and the original Avengers was formed without one Thor, so there must be some troubles. The most important thing is that they are attacking New York. Ailee's base, what if your villa is smashed? He still lives at ease and is used to it. Are you leaving 063? Seeing Ailee standing up and taking things, the leader of Xandar, Nova Supreme, hurried forward to ask. Yeah, Ailee nodded and walked towards his own spaceship. Aha, that's really hard to bear. Glancing at the snickering look of the other party, can't bear it. Are you fooling around? Do you need to be so hypocritical? But it seems that leading politicians are so hypocritical, no matter where they are. He didn't care either. However, when throwing the other party away, Ailee still said something. Forget it if you are called Nova Supreme. You can't afford this title. Be careful that one day, if you don't see your name, you will be wiped out. After finishing speaking, Ailee directly boarded the spaceship that had been prepared long ago. The Nova Supreme behind him smiled awkwardly, not daring to refute a single word. Carrie's scientific community left, and a group of maintenance personnel got off the spacecraft in the same way, leaving only Ailee. Welcome Captain Ailee aboard, are we going back to Earth? The voice of Jarvis appeared again, seemingly very happy. Well, let's go back to the Earth is a bit troublesome to deal with. Ailee replied. Okay, the destination of this interstellar voyage is Earth. Whether to start or not. Start up. Great Captain Ailee, please get ready, our journey has officially begun. Let me show you the improved speed of the Jarvis. Jarvis said to himself, obviously after the modification of the spaceship, it was as if his body had been strengthened, so he was naturally a little excited. After the sudden acceleration, the spacecraft reached 80% of the speed of light in an instant. The fast speed has been improved several grades compared to before. This is not over, there is a star map, and all the routes have the best plan. When the speed reaches enough, the space jump starts. Ailee only felt a tearing force appeared on his body. If a normal person, the heartbeat must be accelerated by many times now, I am afraid that he will die at any time. No wonder interstellar travel is difficult. Solving the side effects of this kind of space jump is enough to study for countless years. The singularity jump of space refraction does not have the passage of time, but it seems that several seconds have passed. The spaceship stabilized suddenly, and everything returned to normal. They have spanned a distance of nearly 2 light years. Then accelerate again, refract again. Ailee's physical body has no sense of such pressure, so Jarvis will not ask him whether to continue, but will open it directly. After 3 jumps, Ailee saw a huge sun at the window. Well, it is the sun of the solar system, the familiar photon energy, they have entered the solar system. It didn't take long for the Earth to appear in their eyes. Half a month away, half a minute back. It's very real. Compared to the calmness of water in the universe. Now the Earth is a bit disorganized and chaotic. At the moment New York is so lively at the moment. In the center of New York City, above the original tallest Stark building. A huge amounts of energy shockwave appeared instantly, soaring into the sky. The next moment, a huge amounts of teleportation array appeared, and the blue color of the portal made everyone stop and watch. Then, at the moment, countless black spots burst out from inside, occupying the entire sky at once. At the moment when the black dot appeared, all parties reacted very quickly. Tony Stark flew directly into the sky wearing armor, and countless energy beams and missiles exploded towards these black spots. His battle armor has been modified, and it is stronger than it should be. Under his bombardment, an unknown number of enemies died instantly. On the other hand, Gwen is not far behind. She can't fly directly, but she can hover around tall buildings. Every shot will definitely take away a batch of enemies. Facing those enemies riding bird-shaped monsters, she is even more direct. A cobweb was shot in the eyes of the opponent's mount, which made it unable to control the direction, and fell to the ground and was seriously injured. Wanda stands on the ground, the power of magic in her hands is constantly unfolding. After Gwen's first screening, even if the enemies who fell on the ground get up, they still have to face her attack. The magic turned into a crossbow bolt, and the arrow pierced through the enemy's chest. Take it away, please invite the next guest. Unfortunately. Although this kind of battle seems to have an advantage and killed a lot of enemies. But in fact the number of enemies is too many. It is simply an endless existence. What they kill is a drop in the bucket. Compared with the total number of the other party, the number is painless. Little ones. Kill me. Kill 1, the bonus is 10,000. Kill 10 and double the bonus. If you kill 100, all of them will be upgraded to a team level, and the skills will be unlocked to the next level. At this moment, a figure floated into midair, with a loud voice in his mouth. The sound echoed on First Avenue in New York, instantly causing countless people to wait and see. It's so imposing. I don't know which hero is so imposing. Is it official or something? It turned out to be Jin Bin. Jin Bin also appeared on TV recently, and seemed to have donated money several times. Many people know about this gangster underground emperor. Although he is a gangster, although he ruled all the gangsters in New York and claimed to be the emperor. But normal New Yorkers don't resist him. Because of his existence, the current gangsters will not attack ordinary people, and they are even very friendly. It also makes the situation in New York a lot better now. Gold and Qigong wave. Jin Bin stood in midair, with his hands brought back to his waist, and a Qigong wave shot out directly, aiming at the position of the portal and blasting away. This killed hundreds of Kurita people. Boss is amazing. Mighty. We kill too. Seeing Jin Bing's great display of power, the subordinates below immediately increased their momentum, and they couldn't bear to lag behind. Call. All of a sudden, I used a large part of my energy, and Jin felt a little bit tired. But he couldn't lose face in front of his subordinates, so he stood there calmly. Facing the attacking Kurita people, he had no choice but to raise his hand and attack like this. Then after a while, I felt that there was no problem, and then I started to show my IF in the air by using the air dance technique. In melee combat, Jin Bing is a standard master of martial arts. Basically, he can use all fighting methods on the earth, and he is proficient. Damn Kim and. Below, among the policemen in charge of maintaining law and order, George saw this scene with a bit of a taste. The policeman himself can only help maintain law and order below, shooting and killing people from time to time. But the bullets had no effect on these monsters at all. And the leader of the gangster who was targeted by him actually brought his younger brother up to kill the enemy, and it was effective. He is really sad. I don't know if Gwen is in danger. George remembered with some concern. Gwen, watch out to the left. At this moment, George suddenly heard his daughter's name, turned his head to look. Seeing the woman who has been fighting, the other party seems to be a magician, shooting magic bows and arrows from time to time, he has noticed it a long time ago. For this reason, he also sighed. It turns out that there are magicians in this world. It's not too strange, it's easy to accept, after all, there is still such a pervert as Ai Li. Magician, no surprise. But why is she called Gwen? Follow the other person's eyes and look high into the sky, seeing her must be a Spider-Man. Same name and surname. George murmured, how could Spider-Man be his daughter? Don't worry Wanda, I'm fine, just be careful. Gwen's voice also sounded, replying to Wanda's words. George stopped shooting and pulling the trigger, she really is his daughter. Daughter is Spider-Man. My daughter is Spider-Man, what about the others? Peter, you go beat those people, don't look for these little trash, teach me this. A man's voice appeared, George continued to look, and saw a young guy with timbre hair and earphones talking. He's fast, even faster than Bolt. Holding two short knives in his hand, one in each hand, he walked among those monsters, constantly harvesting life. Peter. Where is Peter Parker? George cast his gaze, but never saw his daughter's classmate Peter Parker. It's not wrong. My daughter is Spider-Man, and this group of people are the same age, it must be Peter Parker, but I didn't see it. Okay. Then be careful, I'm going. Suddenly there was a thick sound, followed by huge amounts of footsteps stomping on the ground. It's like a dinosaur running in the urban area. Click. The huge lizard monster that suddenly appeared made George's hand numb, and the gun fell to the ground. As this lizard monster Peter Parker? Are you crazy or am I? George couldn't help but yelled at the lizard man Peter, did he know that bookworm Peter Parker who was afraid to fight back? It doesn't matter if the daughter is a Spider-Man, it doesn't matter if a girl knows magic. Your Peter Parker is so different, your Aunt May knows it. I'll be sad when you say that, Uncle in G. Jumping into the sky, Peter Parker seemed to hear George's voice. Can't help but look down at him and say something. Hee hee. Sheriff George said thank you, I am really curious about how you cry when you are sad. Hey, are you here to help too? Let's see who kills more. Peter Parker reached high altitude, happened to fly over an enemy, and swiped the tail directly. The lizard cut off the opponent with its tail in the middle, and then took advantage of this force to land on the wall of the tall building. After Absorbent was on the top, he saw a green giant jumping over, right next door, and couldn't help asking. It was the first time he saw such a green giant. He was very curious. Could it be that he was injected with some genetic potion like himself? What kind of animal is this green guy injecting? I can't tell. Green toad. Roar. Banner turned into the Hulk and couldn't speak yet, but when he heard Peter's words, he knew it was a friendly army and didn't do anything. But still yelled. With his voice, a gust of wind roared out of his mouth. Peter Parker, who was nearly blinded by the blow, gasped. It turned out to be a mentally handicapped. Peter took a pitiful look at Hulk. He couldn't speak after transforming. It's so pitiful. It's pretty good in comparison. Not wanting to be with him, Peter moved to the other side, not forgetting to drop a sentence when he jumped. By the way, a friendly reminder, you have bad breath. Hulk was taken aback by the action that Gang provoked, as if he was annoyed by his words, and almost missed and fell. The whole New York is full of explosions, screams, cries. There are also countless Kurita people screaming wildly. Because their logistics came, the cutting-edge biological weapons that belong to their Kuritas, they called Titans. Though they are nothing compared to real Titans. But it's still great for Earth. Under the unscrupulous impact of the Titans, the Kuritas also began to become more reckless. Countless laser cannons were launched, destroying every part of New York without stopping. Moreover, this group of legions still has a system and a method of fighting, and they are half-machine soldiers controlled by the mothership. So their way of fighting was well planned, and the impact on New York was extremely huge all of a sudden. Apart from these superheroes, Jin Bing and his more than 100 chi users who can fight. Ordinary people have no ability to resist at all, and their guns are useless. Unless you use RPG to bombard and kill, where can you find so many missiles for precise strikes at this time? After a few palm energy cannons were fired, several Kurita soldiers around exploded instantly. Tony Stark was very irritable looking at the battle around him. He couldn't finish the fight if it went on like this. The portal is still transmitting enemies, as if there is no end. JARVIS, how's the situation? At present, the portal has been open for 10 minutes, and the economic loss caused cannot be taken into account. The number of civilian casualties can be counted at 113,255, and it is still growing. Now it is. Tony Stark continued to fight helplessly, and he would fight even if he couldn't finish it, but it was not a good thing to go on like this. Lee, it would be great if Lee could come back now. Mr. Stark, according to my signal, the Visley is approaching Earth. The artificial intelligence JARVIS suddenly made a sound, which shocked Tony. Can't help but look up to the sky. Lee, are you back? Chapter 89 Nuclear Bombing, Eliminate Kurita. Advertise here. Tony Stark, don't be dazed at this moment. I've already killed more than 30 people. Kim flew past Tony Stark, knocking a soldier flying with his fist. He turned his head and said something to him, and then continued to fight. It's been a long time since I hit someone so happily. Jin Bing feels very cool now. You paddling, Tony. Gwen heard Jin Bin passing by in the headset, and couldn't help asking. They fought to the death. Tony was paddling in a daze. Lee is coming back. Tony didn't refute in a daze or anything, but spoke instead. What? Lee is coming back. Where is he? In the headset, one after another voices of inquiry appeared. Gwen, Wanda, Peter Parker, and even Jin Bin all flew back and asked when they heard the voice. Jin Bing's subordinates are another channel, in order to avoid too many people making noise. And Jin Bin is responsible for commanding the three armies, so Tony and the others are no longer on the same channel. JARVIS, where are you? Tony also started asking. Connecting to JARVIS duplication intelligence system. The connection is successful and it has reached the solar system. Has entered the atmosphere. Already entered the Earth. Heading towards New York. Into New York. JARVIS keeps updating the location, and each time the opening does not exceed a second interval. That is to say, in an instant, after breaking through the atmosphere, they have already arrived at their place. In an instant, everyone saw huge amounts of spaceship appear, and then Lee picked it out. And the spaceship also left here directly to avoid being affected by the Kuritas above. Lee, have you updated the weapons on the ship? Tony Stark asked hurriedly when he saw Lee flying over. If there are any, you can help and fight them. Lee was taken aback, then waved his hand. He deliberately let the spaceship leave to prevent it from being damaged in the boudoir battle. The Kuritas are the army under the cosmic overlord Thanos, and they should be considered the weakest. Lee has gained some understanding of the universe these days. For example, the Kurita Legion is also among them. Their fighting style is very much like the army, but it also has a fatal flaw. Lee's words made Tony curious. Weakness. They haven't figured out what the weak point is until now. Could it be those special soldiers? Or the leader? They are known as the weakest legion under Thanos, because once their warships are destroyed, they cannot command the cyborg soldiers below, and at the same time they will lose control directly and cannot fight. After Lee finished speaking, he found that the current situation is not very good for New York. It doesn't matter how many people die, as a time traveler, Lee has no feelings for New Yorkers. At most, the people around you are more important. But now these Kurita people seem to be besieging Jin Bin's people, which is not a good thing. So he became a little more straightforward and started directly. Fly upwards quickly, and reach the front of the portal in the blink of an eye. King Modu, slightly revoke the magic protection over New York. I'm afraid the power will be affected. Ai Li's voice sounded in the distance beside the holy place in New York. In the ears of Wang and Modu who are hiding there, they are quietly killing the enemy here. After all, their philosophy is that people in the holy place cannot be exposed in the world of ordinary people. They were startled when they heard Ai Li's words. Afraid of affecting the magic shield. The strength is not enough, this protective shield can't be broken even by latitude ma'am. To the extent they know about Ai Li, they should not. It has been revoked, you can do whatever you want. Suddenly, while they were still in hesitation, a calm voice came from behind. Turning around, it was Ancient One. Yu, holding the fan in his hand and fanning it casually, not in a hurry. Master Ancient One, you are back, Wang shouted hurriedly when he saw Ancient One appear. The Ancient One Supreme, Caecilius I already know. Ancient One didn't pay too much attention to Caecilius' matter. He chose the wrong path. Everyone has the right to make their own choices. The top priority now is the safety of the Earth. Look at his strength. Wang glanced at the sky strangely. Ancient One thinks Ai Li can defeat alien invasion. But such a large number of enemies. The most important thing is why the magic defense array above New York should be withdrawn. Generally speaking, this defense will not be affected by the Earth's combat power. Because the two are not in the same power system, and the other party is in the teleportation array. The attack should also be shot into the teleportation array, how could it affect the defensive magic array? Now that Ancient One has withdrawn, it's hard to say anything. All you can do is wait and see here. Are you back? Ai Li recognized Ancient One's voice instantly. When I was in the holy place, Ancient One temporarily lent me the time gem and then left directly. I don't know where I went, anyway, I never showed up again. But now they are back, and it seems that they are also worried about some troubles after the Earth is attacked by the Karitas. Such a comparison, Ancient One cares more about the Earth. Look at the Captain Marvel who maintains law and order in the universe. If Nick Fury didn't press the pager, she wouldn't even know that the Earth was breached. Ai Li, we can't hold it anymore. Below, Gwen and the others entered the battlefield to fight again. Although Ai Li wants to attack the main ship, the little shrimps below are still destroying New York, they have to control it. Ai Li's body trembled when he heard it. In an instant, he directly entered the realm of the Super Saiyan God. This time it was more skillful than before. The golden red flame instantly filled the whole body. The coercion of divine power in the body also became stronger at this time. FK. Quicksilver fell to the ground in an instant, without even the desire to run. Distressed, he still doesn't know why he suddenly behaved like this, he wondered whether it would be dangerous. As soon as he raised his head, he saw that the Karita who was just about to make a move on the opposite side was lying on the ground in the same way. What a coincidence. Quicksilver couldn't help but said with an awkward smile as he watched the other party trying to poke him with a weapon. There are countless people like him now. All New York is paralyzed by the pressure. They all don't know what force makes them so. It just feels like my body weighs 10,000 jin. There was a sense of panic in their hearts, which made them tremble with fear. Only Gwen and the others present, plus Jin Bing and a group of people did not lie directly on the ground. But they didn't feel well either, and they all tried their best to resist the pressure, unable to move. Ai Li did not pay attention to these, because this is his own ability. You don't even need to think about it subconsciously, it's an extremely natural display of strength. Ordinary people can't feel the breath of God, they're just overwhelmed by the pressure in their hearts. Ai Li, you are really not simple. Ancient One isolated all surroundings with magic, which made the two of Modu beside them feel better. Looking at Ai Li floating in the sky. Now there is no one else in the whole sky, only Ai Li is on top. Even the Karita soldiers who have just passed through the passage in the portal and stepped into the earth. It was also the first time that it fell like raindrops. Couldn't resist, let alone flight. One by one, they fell directly to the ground and directly lost their combat abilities. The power of this god. You have entered the state of the gods, how long has it been? Simply relying on your own understanding to improve to this point. Ancient One is different from these ordinary people on Earth, her strength originally reached level single universe. She who is firmly at this level also has a concept of gods. She even saw some gods. Weaker ones, such as the latitude Mephisto of Wyshandi in ancient times. Stronger, everlasting. Among them, the power of the gods is the most powerful in eternity, and the power of the gods will bring pressure to everything around them all the time. When Ancient One stayed beside eternity, it was even difficult to meet his eyes. Eternal existence is extremely special, most of the time it is like a dead thing, staying there motionless. Don't say a word, don't move or mess up. The other party is also the same as Ai Li, sitting there without any movement. But seeing its existence, one would kneel down and want to surrender. The power of God displayed by Ai Li has long surpassed most of the gods that Ancient One has seen. And Ancient One did not see any strange things on the other party. Everything about the other party seems to be there naturally. Learn, break through, become stronger. A whole set of processes is so smooth that no one can copy it. So, the cover-up in time is actually done by yourself, breaking yourself away from the long-term Hanoi. No, you don't even have to actively do it, as long as you exist it will be covered naturally. It seems that no one can find the trace of eternity in the long river of time. Because gods cannot be found. Ancient One muttered to himself, talking about the situation of Ai Li. Wang and Modu beside him were puzzled, they only thought it was very powerful, but they couldn't understand it. Qigong wave. When they were feeling this, Ai Li also made a move. There is not much operation, and there is no roaring and howling as imagined. That is, when you raise your hand, a qi function is most directly shot out from the palm of your hand. The powerful force gushes out directly. In the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, the powerful Qigong wave with turbulent force shot directly into the portal. The explosion is on, and there is no other sound except the huge amounts of explosion. Everything that comes into contact with is decomposed at the first time. The Kurita star fleet also disintegrated and exploded directly, and then dissipated and turned into debris. When all this happens, the light in the eyes of all the Kurita soldiers who were lying on the ground in New York City below began to dissipate. 0. Seeking flowers. And their strength is gone. In the end, it was like a dead body wearing a battle armor, lifeless. Ai Li, we're in trouble. When everything was settled, suddenly Ai Li heard a shout. Look down. Tony Stark stood up forcibly in his armor. Although his body couldn't make him stand up, the steel battle suit forcibly stood up, and then flew towards Ai Li with him. When seeing this scene of Tony, Ai Li remembered the subconscious coercion brought by his divine power. Then he took control of his power slightly. The whole person retreated to the stage of Super Saiyan 3. In an instant, the irresistible pressure in everyone's hearts slowly dissipated, and then they were able to get up. But when they involuntarily raised their heads to look at Ai Li, their eyes were full of fear and fear. This is the strength of the opponent, it has become so powerful. And those ordinary people actually did not stand up at this time. He directly turned to kneeling on the ground, clasped his hands in front of Ai Li, and made a prayer posture. This is God. Washington issued a notice, and the nuclear bomb fired directly is coming here. When Tony Stark talked about the current crisis, he was obviously very anxious. If Ai Li wasn't here, he would definitely set off immediately with the nuclear bomb in his arms and try to find a way to end it. But just now the opponent's pressure made him unable to control his physical body, and it was not enough for Jarvis to control the armor. Nuclear. Ai Li frowned. What he cares about is not the crisis of nuclear bombs. As a being who can absorb the photon energy of fixed star, he doesn't care about these at all, and he can't cause any serious damage to him. All he cares about is why nukes are being launched. Although it hasn't been too long since I appeared, it took about 5 minutes. With the current technology, the other party will definitely be able to know the situation here. Plus live streaming from guys like Tony Stark and Nick Fury. He does not believe that the White House in Washington does not understand the state of the place. But they still had a nuclear bomb, so who was the target of this nuclear bomb? Is it the Kuritas, or himself? Could it be? Tony Stark is not an idiot either, the news of the nuclear bomb hit him just now, so he didn't have time to think. But now that there is Ai Li as the backbone, I immediately associate it. The portal opened, and the Rita people used the portal to go to the Big Earth. Tony Stark has a dark face, although he can't see it with a mask, but his voice is very serious and angry. Even if the nuclear bomb flattened New York, the damage to the Kurita people would be these small things. It's meaningless to them on the other side of the portal, so their goal. It's us. Ai Li said affirmatively. Ai Li could hear the sound of the nuclear bomb breaking through the air smoothly. Looking in that direction with both eyes, everything shrinks in an instant, and a missile is flying towards here in the sight, and the speed is very fast. Our threat is too great. Jin Bing is also here, and his subordinates are also here. Peter Parker the Lizardman is here, the Spider-Man is here, Dr. Hulk Banner, and you, Wani Stark. And I. Tony Stark realized everything with a dark face. He is the boss of a top company, and he can guess the thoughts of some politicians. They are too much of a threat. It has already threatened the official control desire above. Uncontrollable power is the most dangerous for them, so they plan to take the opportunity to make a big deal. With the extraordinary power disappearing from the Earth like this, the status of that group of people can naturally be stabilized. As for the alien invasion, everything can be negotiated, and they feel that they have weapons like nuclear weapons. Even if they fight, they can still win as long as they don't care about the consequences. Then us. Tony asked worriedly, although the group went too far and wanted them dead. But we can't just kill them all. If we really kill them, the United States will definitely be in chaos, or even. Let's talk about it later. The problem now is not to let the nuclear bomb fall on New York. I don't want my villa to disappear. Ai Li responded casually and then moved his body. The whole person burst out like a cannonball. The powerful air blows away everything in the sky, leaving behind a plane like an airplane pulling smoke. The trail cloud lingered for a long time, but Ai Li's figure disappeared completely. With the naked eye, Ai Li saw the right direction, and flight speed surpassed everything, and he appeared directly next to the nuclear bomb. At about the same speed, he held the nuclear bomb with one hand, and then looked at the portal that was slowly closing in the sky. Frowning, the portal is closing. So someone is still controlling the portal, the space gem. Is that Loki? He's in New York. In no hurry to find him, Ai Li rushed towards the portal with the nuclear bomb. In the blink of an eye, he stood in front of the door and threw it directly, and the nuclear bomb was thrown to the other side by him. In another universe that is unknown how far away, a nuclear bomb appeared, and then exploded after a while. All disappeared. Chapter 90 The evil god Loki gives in and Seoul Castle attacks. Advertise here. I have to say that the power of the Earth's nuclear bomb is still very powerful. It is really awesome that humans can develop this thing. Ailey stretched out one hand, and blocked a stream of air directly in front of the gradually closing portal to prevent the generated heat and radiation from spreading here. He turned to look at New York and began to search for the location of the spiritual scepter. In the Stark building in New York, Loki looked carefully at the figure in the sky. How come this guy has become so strong now, and the Kurita people are so gone? A bunch of trash. Thinking of this, Loki became very angry. He borrowed the Legion from Thanos by relying on his charming smile and flattery for a long time. This time it was gone, and all my efforts were in vain. Fortunately, he can still hide for a while, so as long as Thanos can't find him, there won't be a big crisis. He is also afraid of being retaliated against. Seeing that Ailey did not return immediately after the battle. Instead, he seems to be searching for something in the sky. Loki's heart thumped. You can't find me. I hid as soon as he appeared. There was no reason he would see me. He's not Odin or Heimdall, his eyes must be. Ailey, are you okay? Jin Bin flew into the air and looked at Ailey, the admiration in his eyes fully revealed. They were high up in the sky, and the figures below came into view. So many people are worshipping them as if they are worshipping gods. This feeling is really grand. Ailey's strength also highlights Jin Bin's existence. Kingpin was naturally happy to be like this, but when he thought of the nuclear bomb incident just now, his expression suddenly turned bad again. Nothing, just a small problem. Ailey shook his head casually. A nuclear bomb would not hurt him. There has to be an explanation for this. Tony Stark also ran up and spoke. Obviously he was very angry about this 990 incident. After finishing speaking, Tony noticed that the eyes of the two people in front of him were a little strange, so he looked back strangely. What's wrong? Explanation. Ailey couldn't help but smile. You ask them for an explanation. Isn't this a joke? Jin Bing also became happy. In this position, they never ask anyone for explanations. If you can explain it usefully, what do you need the power to do? Can you read it? What are you going to do? Tony's heart skipped a beat, guessing that these two people might be going to do something. But he wasn't sure what they were going to do. I'll go. Jin didn't tell him, but looked at Ailey. He was going to loosen up those people's muscles. Tony wanted to stop, but Kingpin had already flown away. When he left, a group of subordinates also followed one after another, and no one was left behind. With a vigorous movement, more than 200 people, led by Jin Bing, flew directly towards the headquarters. Let's integrate the team and weapon configuration first, and then give those guys in Washington a big one. They won't go too far, right? Surely not. Tony murmured and watched Kingpin leave, a little worried. What are you afraid of? Those politicians like to take action, so they must be prepared for retaliation. Is it possible that they have not considered what will happen if they mess up? Ailey sneered at those politicians. Just like Xandar's Xingxing Supreme. Showing off one's power here, after leaving the home planet, it's not like that, thinking that you are very powerful. People have tempers. They have used nuclear bombs, and they still want to live in peace afterwards. They can't really be so naive, right? Ailey's few words made Tony silent. If this nuclear bomb appears and Ailey is not here, will he accept the consequences? Afterwards, he just doesn't know whether he will go to find trouble with the other party or lie to himself. Tony didn't know what his choice would be for a moment. But now, Kingpin set out, and the outcome of all that was uncertain. I just hope nothing happens. Tony couldn't help but worry. He doesn't mess around and makes preparations. After Ailey finished speaking, his eyes moved. Found it. What? Tony looked at him strangely and found something. Before he could finish asking, Ailey suddenly erupted from his body. The whole person flew directly towards the Stark building, so fast that Tony didn't even react. Bang! The glass shattered and Ailey stood on the top floor of the building. This should be an office, with huge amounts of floor-to-ceiling windows and luxurious sofa sets. There is also a wine bar next to it, which makes life very enjoyable. Ahem. And behind the bar, a figure saw Ailey standing here. He coughed and slowly moved his steps and walked out. Hello, I am Loki, one of the giants of Jotunheim, visiting Earth. Loki smiled slightly and bowed like a gentleman. Oh, giants of Jotunheim, aren't you Odin's youngest son Loki? Ailey asked with a smile. At the same time, Gwen and Tony also rushed over behind them. Looking at each other with strange eyes, this guy has caused a lot of troubles on the Earth these days. The most famous one is asking a group of politicians to kneel down in front of New York City Hall. Not to mention, many people looked at it with smiles. It is still rare for that group of people to kneel down. But Gwen didn't like him very much, because his father was there at the time, even though he didn't kneel down while watching the show. But afterwards, my father was scolded by those politicians. It's so frustrating that I'm going to die. Misunderstanding. Loki heard Ailey say that he was Odin's son, and his heart beat faster for a second. The other party knows his identity, and if he is unreliable, he may not be able to escape. Actually, I am also a victim of Odin, and I hate Odin very much. Speaking of this, Loki's face was full of resentment. He even hit the bar in front of him hard with his mind scepter. Looking at this posture, Odin doesn't look like his father, but like his enemy. I was born in Jotunheim. I was originally the great prince of Jotunheim, but I was taken back as a hostage by Odin. From then on, I became his adopted son, and the one who was not taken seriously, became Thor's sparring partner. You will also be despised, disgusted, and looked down upon by the other Aesir gods. I swear, one day I will make them pay the price. Loki's words were so resonant that everyone present was a little surprised. They didn't know whether they were true or not. Really? Tony Stark came up with a suspicious look in his eyes. This guy doesn't look like he's lying. It's definitely true. Loki answered immediately, and then pointed at Natasha Romanoff, who had just taken the elevator up with Wanda. You or you? Me? What's wrong? Natasha Romanoff was not familiar with anyone present. She was just transferred back and has been dealing with Nick Fury's Hydra undercover problem. I entered the battlefield temporarily during this war, and I didn't even meet Ailey. Suddenly being pointed at by Loki, she was a little dazed, thinking it was none of her business. Your companion Hawkeye? Yes, there is also a bald man. What is his name? Phil Coulson. Natasha Romanoff thought for a moment. The only bald man around her was Phil Coulson. Yes, that's him. When we were fighting in New Mexico, I was the one who controlled the Iron Giant and the Destroyer armor to kill Thor. Think about it, if I had no grudge against them, why would I want to kill Thor? Isn't that right? The talisman is not logical. Did you suddenly realize it? The more Loki spoke, the more excited he became, and the more he spoke, the more certain he became, as if everything was really like this. It seems. Phil Coulson did say that the one who controls that armor is the evil god Loki. Natasha Romanoff nodded and looked at Ailey. The person fighting at that time was Ailey. This is not a reason for you to run away. Ailey smiled, stretched out his hand, and a qigong ball passed through his fingertips. It hit a wall instantly and passed through the wall. The range is not large, it is about the same file size as a bullet. But the power is extremely terrifying, and there is no smoke in the holes in the wall. It seems to have penetrated directly through it, extremely smooth. At the position where he had hit, a figure slowly emerged, smiling at Ailey with an awkward smile. Oh, I was discovered. As expected of the great and strong Ailey, his vision is really amazing. Loki, I am so impressed. Loki turned his head and smiled awkwardly, saying. At the same time, the Loki just now slowly faded away, turning into a phantom and disappearing. Oh, magic. Wanda was a little surprised when she saw this scene. She felt a familiar feeling from the other party's magic. This is not a borrowed magic power, but the other party's original magic power. And the way of using this magic is somewhat similar to his own family magic. Does the other party also have inherited witch magic? But he is rare. Looking at Loki with confusion, Wanda became a little curious. Bring it here. Ailey stretched out his hand and said to the other party. Loki was very knowledgeable and handed over the spiritual scepter in his hand. It floated into Ailey's hand in the air. He picked it up casually and glanced at it. The force directly broke the scepter, and the gem on it was also held in his hand. Mind gem, one of the infinite gems. When the single was torn apart, a gaping hole was created in the space in front of him. Ailey threw the gem in. Loki stretched his head and took a look, and saw that there were several things inside. It looks like there are other gems. Hiss. How many has this guy collected? If Thanos knew about it, he would definitely come to trouble him and steal the gems. Thinking of this, the little juju in Loki's heart began to emerge again. How about taking the risk to find Thanos again? Although he didn't kill Ailey as the other party said, and he couldn't bring back other gems, he found their whereabouts. Where's the other one? Ailey continued, looking at Loki with a smile. This guy likes to hide and tuck. Just like squeezing out toothpaste, deal with him and he won't compromise unless you press him a little bit. Hee. Loki didn't expect that the other party actually knew so much. After laughing awkwardly, he saw that he couldn't hide anymore. He could only pull with both hands, and the magical power appeared again, and the tesseract also appeared in his hands. Pulling it directly and holding it in his hand, Ailey also threw the tesseract in. Another infinite gems has been added, and the space gem has been collected successfully. No more this time. Loki saw him looking at him again and replied hurriedly. He really has no gems left now, not a single one is left, he has drained them all. There is not even a treasure left in his body. If he tells others that he is the second prince of Asgard, no one will believe him. After looking up and down, indeed, there was not a single valuable thing left on Loki. The only dagger. Even if you don't say it, this prince is really pitiful. Is there anything else you want to say? Ailey asked. Yes, I swear, I am really Asgard's enemy. I will never help Asgard, and I will also help you and help you defeat the bastard. Loki immediately issued a military order to express his attitude. Raise your hands and swear. But to whom he swore this oath is unclear. He himself is also the legendary god of the earth. Maybe he made a vow to himself. Ailey, I'm going to kill you. Come out and die. Ailey Fisk. The time has come for you to die. Your death is imminent. Just as Loki was swearing, a roar suddenly came from outside. The sound was so loud that it seemed to encompass the entire sky above New York. Everyone was a little strange. We have just wiped out the Karita planet, which can be said to be a great victory. Ailey wiped out an entire legion by himself. He was undoubtedly a very powerful being. At this time, there are still people who dare to come out so arrogantly and make such noise. Are you tired of living? Loki stood there blankly. This voice was familiar to him. Thor. Isn't this the voice of his cheap brother, Thor? But the problem is that Thor is already dead, and he saw it with his own eyes. He was indeed killed. Why did he appear again now? Same voice. Unlikely. Could it be that Odin also has the means to resurrect people and resurrected Thor? Thor. The mythical Thor. Weren't you killed by Aili? Why did you come out again? Are these guys immortal? Why do they always make trouble for the earth? When everyone heard Loki's doubtful voice, they all became surprised. A group of people stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows. The glass had shattered and disappeared, and they looked directly at the sky with their naked eyes. Aili became more interested. Thor was beaten like that by himself, and his divine power was deprived of him, and now he dares to jump out. What is the source of the other party's confidence? As for the other party's appearance, he was not surprised. There is a magical place in Asgard called Soul Castle. As a warrior of Asgard, if you die heroically in a life and death battle, your soul will be like entering the Soul Castle. Then you will never grow old or die inside, and you can always train to fight and compete with other heroic spirits. They can even walk out of the Soul Castle and help God King Odin conquer the universe. Aili knew that the other party might be resurrected in the Soul Castle, but she didn't expect that he would come back to cause trouble. He also walked to the window, looked with curiosity. At the moment, the whole sky over New York is strange. The colorful colors cover the entire sky. The closing of the portal just now made the sky normal, but now it's weird again. Colors are everywhere, and further down at 2.5, a layer of dark clouds begins to gather. Countless thunder and lightning surged, thunder snakes surged, each thunder and lightning was like a giant python constantly swimming, shuttling and wandering in the dark clouds. At the moment, Thor is suspended inside, surrounded by thunder snakes and the thunder and lightning in the clouds, reflecting each other. From time to time, lightning would strike him, and then it would turn into his thunder coat, with lightning overflowing. A pair of eyes turned into the white color of lightning. Wearing lightning armor, Thor held it with one hand, and a bolt of lightning directly became his weapon. When he raised his right hand, Mjolnir appeared in his hand. Aili, come out and die. Thor's voice was still amplifying, yelling at the city of New York. Woo woo woo, dang dang, la la, la la, just when Thor showed his power. Behind it, above the layer of dark clouds, the colorful Bifrost slowly faded, but did not disappear completely. And a burst of music sounded, the sound of percussion and the melodious singing of several women flowed out. Everyone looked up and saw a huge amount of door leaf there. There are only doorposts, but no substantial door. Under the door, countless figures appeared, and the singing sound was the music produced by the cooperation of some performers and women inside. Ha ha ha, Earth, I haven't been here for a long time. Who beat our little prince Thor like this, I want to see. Don't you dare come out, ha ha. The remaining group of people looked at New York with smiles. Many people laughed out loud and spoke with a mocking tone. Obviously, these people don't take the Earth seriously. Chapter 91 The Resurrected Thor and the God King Odin Battle. Advertise here. Earth is such an interesting country. Thinking back to the time when we were fighting for hegemony over the 9 realms, Odin did really well and actually completed this move, but the Earth is still in some trouble. The deepest part of Soul Castle. Unlike those soldiers who crowded at the door and looked at the humans on Earth below. A figure is sitting on the throne here, leaning on his chin with one hand. His eyes were slightly squinted, looking slightly listless. Outside, Odin is the God King, controlling the 9 realms headed by Asgard. And in Soul Castle, he is the manager here, Cultivation. He is the former king of Asgard, the father of Odin, and the former God King. He also has many titles, the true king of gods, the beginning of the despicable, the lord of the false kingdom, the traitor of Asgard. Several of them are unpleasant names. The reason is simple, because the throne of Cultivation is not inherited. Instead, he killed Asgard's first ruler, Bree, and obtained the throne by killing his father. He is very powerful, but no one knows how strong he is. Anyway, he is the number 1 person in Soul Castle. Behind Bol's throne is a passage. At the end is a cage of huge amounts. Here, there are countless chains locking a man. This man is Odin's grandfather, and he is also the father of poor Blisson, Bully. There is not much sanity left. Odin, you have to deal with the other beings on Earth. Cultivation, who has also played in the 9 realms, knows very well that the Earth is a special existence. 3 million years ago, before the dawn of creation, the sudden appearance of the Tree of Life formed the 9 realms civilization, and new gods appeared. Asgard is one of them. Countless years later, the big change was in 8000 BC. The God King at that time was Bully. Odin's grandfather led an army to break through the 9 realms. Unfortunately, there were countless strong men at that time, so it was difficult to complete. Ever since, under his leadership, the Nordic gods successfully found the Tesseract and created Bifrost to connect the 9 realms. Since then, Asgard has been thinking of ways to turn the 9 realms into its own country. Bully was not completed because not long after Bifrost was completed, his son Bol took over. Kill him. Let him reach the Soul Castle. Later, after getting ready, Bol handed over his throne to Odin and went to Soul Castle alone. After making all preparations, he became the king of Soul Castle. Bully. It's a pity to be imprisoned once again. So Bol is very aware of how strong the Earth is. The Earth is also the last 9 domains to be captured by Odin. It's not about force. Soul Castle. Loki looked at Soul Castle's appearance and clenched his fists. He longs for Soul Castle because it is the pride of Asgard and the legend of the Aesir clan. Only true warriors can join Soul Castle after death and be resurrected. As a child, he always thought that he could enter the Soul Castle and die for Asgard. But now that he learned that he was a member of the Giants of Jotunheim, he realized that it had nothing to do with him. Even if he sacrifices his life for the lives of millions of people in Asgard, he cannot enter because his bloodline is not that of the Aesir. Hatred burst out at this moment, and he really wanted to kill every existence in Soul Castle right now. He was very happy to see Thor's resurrection. Conflicted, Loki is extremely uncomfortable now, and there is only cramping in his heart. Sensing his uneasiness, several people around him looked over in surprise. I can't help but wonder, if Loki is really towards Asgard, why is he acting like this now? It's like being constipated. When everyone looks at the sky. Aili suddenly smiled because he saw a rainbow light suddenly shoot out from the position of Soul Castle, and his whole body was like a meteor passing by. The location we are going to is not somewhere else, but also within New York. It's the magician holy place, the holy place in New York. And Aili also guessed who the figure was, the real god king of Asgard, Odin. This guy didn't come out to fight when he came to Earth, but chose to go find the Ancient One. Above the sky, Thor did not take action immediately. Although he has been clamoring to kill Aili, he has not made any move to let the thunder and lightning fall. Wait, Thor is no longer the Thor of the past. He is no longer the being with only muscles and no brains. He has learned many secrets in Soul Castle and is waiting for notification from his father. He will take action only when he is notified. Otherwise, if they are attacked by a group, even Asgard and even Odin will be in big trouble. Now he can only live with his mouth. Ancient One. Odin landed at the holy place, and the eternal spear in his hand instantly fell to the ground. A wave of ripples appeared, and the vibrations caused disperse the magic around the holy place. The figures of Ancient One, Wong, and Modu were instantly exposed. The gate of holy place in New York opened, and more than a dozen magicians were dispatched. They are all guarding holy place in New York. How can you tolerate it when you see an enemy coming? Surround Odin in the middle and be careful to guard against him. Odin didn't pay any attention to this group of people, and didn't even shift his attention. Go back. The Ancient One waved her hand, and a portal of huge amounts was opened by her, and all the magicians were sent back to the holy place by her. Wong and Modu behind him did not move, just stood behind him. They all know who Odin is, and they also know the gap between themselves and each other. Just from the other party's casual opening of the magic barrier, it is enough to see that the two sides are not on the same level. What are you doing here? I remember our contract said that as long as I am here, the king of Asgard cannot enter the earth. The Ancient One looked at Odin, holding the fan in his hand and waving it lightly. This casual attitude seems as if what is in front of him is not Odin, but an inconspicuous existence. You went too far first. You gave the time gem to Aili Fisk and asked him to kill my child. Odin replied with narrowed eyes. Suddenly, a powerful force from Odin pressed against the Ancient One, as if he was about to take action at any moment. But facing the opponent's momentum, Ancient One didn't care at all. A light breeze blew by, and all the momentum became dreamlike, and a gentle breeze blew by. After doing all this, Ancient One looked at him with a smile and said casually. Oh, does the treaty say that I cannot give time gem to others? As for him killing your son, isn't that your son who is useless? After Wong and Modu heard Ancient One's words from behind, they swallowed subconsciously. I feel a little scared in my heart. You are talking to Odin, why do you need to be so aggressive? What will they do if a fight breaks out? They knew that Ancient One was very strong, but they never thought that the other party could compare with Odin. It has to be said that this point shows that Ancient One's strength is indeed not fully demonstrated in front of them. Odin was furious when he heard this and raised the eternal spear as if he was about to start a war. The Ancient One glanced at him disdainfully and sneered. Isn't that right? If you think it's inappropriate for me to give him the time gem, then just give your eternal spear to your son. You won't be reluctant to part with it, right? I know your mouth can say, Ancient One, you are strong, I can admit it. But don't forget, Asgard's power is not weak either. Odin did not take action after all, because he was not sure about the status of the Ancient One. Ragnarok will appear, Asgard will fall back into the flames of war and be destroyed. But it will be reborn in another location, and Asgard's divine power will become stronger again. Because they have the world tree, Odin and his queen both have the ability to detect the future, and they both determine Ragnarok's time. At the same time, they also learned a secret, that is, the lifespan of the Ancient One is coming to an end. Ancient One is leaving. That's why he appears here to test the other party. As long as the Ancient One shows a decline in strength, or is really too old to hold a weapon, then he wouldn't care about an Ancient One and would just do it. But the scene where the Ancient One handled his power so lightly and calmly made Odin unsure. Could it be that his and the Queen's predictions were wrong? After all, this is not impossible. The other party is also a good player at playing with time. It is not difficult to do something in predicting the future on the timeline. The Earth and Asgard have not had any conflicts for so many years. This is a good thing. Ancient One, you don't want Asgard to fully attack the Earth, right? Or do you want me to target the Earth in the universe? Odin had a dark face and no longer struggled with the opponent's strength. Take a step back and start discussing this incident. What do you want? Ancient One looked at him and asked bluntly. This guy is too meandering and the Ancient One doesn't like it. No, Ancient One likes to talk about others, but he doesn't like others to talk about himself. I want you to withdraw from this battle without helping Ai Fisk, holy place. Odin replied. Ancient One blinked a few times when he heard this, and looked at Odin strangely for a long time. She never thought about participating. Why should you participate? What are you doing by participating? Being stared at by the Ancient One for a long time, Odin felt a little uncomfortable all over. It was indeed strange for an old maid to look at him like this. Okay, I promise you. Ancient One suddenly replied. That's the best. Odin was a little surprised to hear that he agreed, then thought about it and spoke again. I want you to take the time gem back and not let the other party use it. He curled his lips impatiently and couldn't help but ask. Do you want me to help you fight? That's not necessary. Odin replied awkwardly. I promised you, but what's the price? If you come here to make a request, you have to pay some price. Do you really think that I am easy to talk to, that I will promise you whatever you want, and then show no sincerity? Odin had expected such a mention. He frowned reluctantly, then sighed. Finally, he took out the trading items he had prepared. He held a transparent bottle in his hand and reluctantly handed it out after a while. The bottle slowly fell into Ancient One's hand. The bottle was not small, about the same size as a Coke bottle. The material was very special, very hard, and the transparency was extremely exaggerated. You can't even see the bottle unless you look closely. And here, a drop of water. Wong was a little confused when he saw that there was only a drop of transparent liquid in the bottle, which was changing as the bottle shook. Taking a drop of water as the price. Odin is so shameless. ... No, it's such an exaggeration. HMPH. Mortal. Odin seemed to have read through the king's thoughts and said disdainfully. This is his treasure. If it weren't for killing Ai and making a deal with Ancient One. Even if he dies, he won't be able to use this in Soul Castle. Ancient One was not angry, but put away the bottle happily and explained to Wong and Modu behind him. This is the pure water of wisdom, the water of the legendary Holy Spring. As expected of God King Odin, he is so generous. After praising the other party, Ancient One completely forgot about the previous unpleasantness between the two of them. Holy Spring Water. Modu recalled this name in his mind, as if he had seen it somewhere, but he couldn't remember it. Wong was spending time in the library these days and was thinking about it. It is rumored that in order to better rule the 9 realms and be able to predict the future, Odin found the holy spring next to the tree of life, which is the well of wisdom, and wanted to drink the holy water. Wong talked about what he knew, and Ancient One did not interrupt. Odin also listened happily to his story. This was his past, and he enjoyed being talked about by others. But Mimir, the giant who guarded the well, asked him to pay for one of his eyes. Without any thought, Odin hung himself upside down on a tree for 7 days and nights. He sacrificed himself and became blind in one eye. Then he drank the water of wisdom and became a wise man. And because of this legend, hanging is a very severe punishment in Nordic law. There is a card in the tarot called the Hanged Man, which is a symbol of this. Not bad. After the other party finished speaking, Odin admitted generously. One eye and the holy water that was obtained by hanging upside down for 7 days and 7 nights were obtained by me in a 257 promise transaction. Ancient One suddenly laughed out loud and asked the 2 disciples behind him happily. Do you think I have made a lot of money? After all, Odin is still a wise man. This. Wong and Modu didn't know how to answer for a while. Odin was right in front of them, so they were talking nonsense. So I said you 2 are too pedantic. If you wanted to hit him, you would have hit him long ago. If you haven't done anything for a long time, it means you don't dare to fight. What are you afraid of? Ancient One saw that the 2 of them did not dare to say anything, and shook his head helplessly. So I prefer others. Your promise, Odin said to the Ancient One with a dark face. Yes, yes, yes. Ancient One responded casually. Then she looked at the location of the Stark building, stretched out her hand, and a magic burst out of her hand. Ai Li, who was far above the building, had been observing the situation here. Their conversations and every move they made were captured by Ai Li's eyes and ears. Supervision and hearing made him feel as if he was beside them watching them communicate. It's just that they don't know. There is no need for Ancient One's magic. Ai Li can dispel the magic as soon as he reaches out. Then he took out the Eye of Agamotto from the space crack and threw it towards the opponent. The powerful force caused the Eye of Agamotto to fly towards Ancient One, and Ancient One almost failed to catch it. Ancient One, I want half of that drop of water. The moment they got the Eye of Agamotto, Ai Li's voice also sounded to them. Odin was startled, then smiled disdainfully. This guy still wants to take away the holy water. You have no hope of surviving this time. You want to share even a drop of water. That's too much, Ai Li. The Ancient One jumped directly and said towards Ai Li's position. She also hopes that this thing will improve her mental power. Odin can use it to directly predict the future. If she drinks it, her strength will be improved a lot. But he did not refuse. After all, this transaction was also facilitated by Ai Li. Without the other party, how would this transaction come about? Thor, do it. The transaction is completed, and Odin has no worries anymore. In the Battle of New York, the battle between Ai Li and Thor was only possible to be stopped by the Ancient One. It is impossible for the remaining strong men on Earth to interfere. And those Latitude Mephistas have nothing to do with Ai Li and will not help deal with them. This time, with him holding the battle, the existence of Soul Castle guards everything. Li must die. He didn't pay such a high price just to avenge Thor. Odin wants Li's body to find the secret of his strength. He wants to. It's finally time for me to take action. Go to hell, Li. Thor was overjoyed when he received the signal. Holding the hammer in one hand, a bolt of lightning fell directly from the sky and struck Li. This time, his strength is no longer what it used to be. He wants to kill the opponent with one strike. What a powerful force. Wong and Modu felt this power, and their faces instantly turned pale. Odin smiled. This is Thor who has experienced the baptism of Soul Castle. The real Thor. Let the world feel your power, my son. Chapter 92 Killing Thor. Angel appears. Please customize. Advertise here. Go to hell. After receiving Odin's signal, Thor, who had already lost his patience, could still hold it back. It comes up as a set of combos. The mighty razor hovers in the sky. Under the guidance of the hammer, the razor suddenly attacked downwards. The thick and terrifying thunder and lightning seemed to be more than 10 meters wide. This did not look like a thunder and lightning. More like a water column reaching the sky. Thor doesn't care about humans or not at all now. He doesn't care whether these humans will die because of him. Fighting is in Asgard, no matter where he fights in any divine realm. Those beings are all enemies. Whether they are weak or not, and whether they have fighting ability will become their own obstacles. As long as it's from the opponent's divine domain, it's an enemy. As for him thinking that he is the prince of Asgard, and Asgard is the leader of the 9 realms, he must be considerate of his people and the people of other countries. That's what happens after the fight. Thor, Thor, Thor. Ahaha, kill him. No one can stop the power of thunder and lightning. Everyone in the Soul Castle above saw this scene and couldn't help but start shouting and cheering. Some kept shouting to kill the enemy. They are all people who have died, and they are also warriors who died fighting for Asgard. Fighting is everything they have. So the fighting gets fiercer, the more excited they are. Without this, how could they hold a banquet in Soul Castle while fighting for hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years? Suffer death Li. The person I am now is not the same person I was before. After experiencing the baptism of Soul Castle, my power has become stronger, and my divine power is unmatched. I already have the power to become a king. Channeled the power of the thunder and lightning with a hammer. Looking at his own thunder pillar blasting towards the opponent, Thor's eyes burst out with electric snakes. This is his power. This is also his determination. It's really good. Ancient One nodded involuntarily when he saw this lightning attack. This attack was indeed interesting. We have truly entered the level single universe category. Then he glanced at Odin in surprise. This guy really didn't leave any room. Show your strength, Thor. This is the most critical step for your new life to leave a legend in the world. Odin also watched his son's operation with admiration. For his personal show, he did not hesitate to sacrifice the holy water of wisdom in order to let Thor leave traces of his strength in the world. In this way, in the future, when everyone mentions Asgard, they will definitely think of Thor. In the future, the other party took over Asgard and had enough deeds. You must know that for this step, he did not hesitate to go to the Soul Castle alone, and spent countless efforts to break away from him and resurrect him again. He did not hesitate to take him to the bottom of the world tree and give him the power of thunder again. Everything is for this fight. Kill him. Kill the strongest man on earth with one blow. Kill Li so that all people on earth will know the bravery of the new king of Asgard. As if seeing the existence of the earth worshipping the gods of Asgard again, Odin's lips showed a smile involuntarily. What a powerful power of the thunder and lightning. Who is it? In the vast universe, in the realm of the void, in this special latitude where countless mountain peaks are suspended. Zeus is holding a ball and showing off his performance on the stage. Just after the performance, I suddenly frowned and felt a special power. I couldn't help but start exploring. Also discovering this at the same time as him were the Egyptian gods at Heliopolis, who all discovered the effect of thunder and lightning. Involuntarily, everyone began to search, and soon discovered the source of power, the earth. Zeus was able to sense it immediately because he also had the power of lightning, which is almost the same as thunder and lightning. He even became the idol of Thor. The picture was directly projected onto the stage, and all the gods were watching the battle at this moment. When he saw Thor creating such powerful divine power with one strike, he couldn't help but exclaimed in amazement. What a powerful divine power. It seems Asgard has a strong man again. It's already considered a pretty good strength in level single universe, but I don't know how long he can maintain this level of strength. It has nothing to do with us, we just want to survive here. That's right, the most important thing is to be alive. Aha, this picture is really good, how about we start a game? Seeing that Thor had such power, Zeus was a little annoyed, but then he didn't care anymore. He knows the habits of Asgard. If a new king appears, then Odin will leave the game without any accident. To him, Zeus, it doesn't matter at all. The divine power was activated again, and a huge amount of device appeared in the field. Left, Thor wins. I don't know who is on the right, but he must be a native of the earth. If he wins, he will pay 10 for 1. Place your bets. All the gods present became interested and placed bets one after another, but it was obvious that they supported Thor more. After all, Thor's power has been revealed, and Earth. Forget about that place. Only one person walked to the other side and placed a bet. He glanced disdainfully at Thor on the screen. He didn't like this person, so he voted for another one. Hercules, buy it and leave it. Zeus reminded his son in a friendly way. I know, father, replied Hercules. After placing the bet, everyone looked at the screen and waited for the result. Asgard is making trouble again, what a foolish Odin. At the same time, a small corner of the Milky Way is even more remote than the Earth. There is a dimensional space crack here, and there is a planet living inside. And in the palace hall of this planet, there is a birdman who is bored and sleepy. When I got closer, I realized that this birdman was not a real bird, but a human with wings. Outsiders call him Angel. Suddenly I felt a strange power and woke up. Then his eyes saw through countless light years, and found the power to wake him up. When he found out that it was a battle on Earth, and what was for sale was the existence of Asgard, he looked at it with some boredom. Behind him, 2 pairs of wings fluttered. He changed his sitting position and continued watching. He also noticed Odin's figure. But he seemed to be worried about something and didn't pay much attention. Odin, Asgard, foolish being. But I have to thank him. If he hadn't torn off the branch of the world, heaven would still be in contact with the other 9 realms. It would be too troublesome. How wonderful it is now. No one knows what I, Hywen, want to do. Hywen comes from the 2014 comic book event, Original Sin. He is an angel, but it is not the real heaven of God. It can be recognized as a branch of the real heaven. Paradise is considered a planet setting here. Their residents are 2 wings, and they are also connected by the world tree. Together with Earth, Asgard, Jotunheim and the like, there are 10 realms in total. This is also the original Sin setting. Later, the sea wind betrayed Asgard, and Odin angrily severed the connection between the world tree and heaven, so only the 9 realms were left. I'm not talking nonsense. Angel's breath. Where does Angel come from? On Earth, Satan was wandering around. Suddenly he felt something strange about his familiar aura. After taking a look, he smiled slightly. I thought it was some kind of angel, but after a long time of searching, it turned out to be a pheasant. The 2 wings were still pretending to be divided into 2 pairs of 4. He would definitely be very happy after being FK'd by that idiot god. The sight of all parties is just a blink of an eye. Only existences like them will pay attention to this battle, because on the way up. For example, Sithorn, the god of the underworld, just glanced at it and stopped paying attention. It's not interesting. He has always cared about it on Earth, and he also knows Eileen's strength. A Thor doll from Asgard, stop it. Sithorn is like this, let alone Gia and his party. Die, Eileen. From multiple perspectives, time seems to have passed a long time. But in fact, this is just a short moment. Thunder and lightning from the sky fell towards the building. Gwen and others subconsciously took a step back to dodge. The power of the powerful thunder is indeed unbearable. It was as if a strong pressure was pressing down on them, making them unable to breathe. From ancient times to the present, thunder and lightning have always been the most domineering existence, feared by people. In addition to the powerful power of thunder and lightning, the sound is also deafening, giving people a feeling of shock every time it appears. Bang! Boom! Seeing the thunder and lightning coming, everyone else couldn't help but retreat, but Eileen took a step forward. The next moment, Eileen disappeared from the spot and jumped directly towards the thunder and lightning hardtop. A powerful burst of force from the body. The aura of golden and red flames appears again. Eileen did not teleport to deal with Thor, because his lightning was heading downwards, which would inevitably hurt Gwen and others. But if you want to beat the opponent, there are many ways. The spiritual energy disperses everything around. When Eileen came into contact with the thunder and lightning, his speed did not slow down at all, he just rushed forward. The powerful energy almost tore the thunder and lightning into pieces, leaving no trace on his body. From the outside, it looked like Thor was attacking with all his strength, but Eileen was using his body to push up and get closer. After the power of the thunder and lightning was dispersed, it would have been scattered in all directions and struck the ground. But under Eileen's control, these thunder and lightning were extinguished and disappeared the moment they dispersed. The whole process only took 1 second. A second later, Eileen stood in front of Thor, looking at him like this. You. Thor felt something strange about the strength on the other person's body. This guy has powers too. He feels it. But it was precisely because he felt it that he realized something was wrong. Because the pressure of the divine power displayed on the opponent actually made him want to kneel down. There was pressure on my shoulders and in my heart, like a tsunami coming down. Looking into each other's eyes, Thor looked away for a moment. There was a fluorescent flash in the other party's eyes, like a black hole. The other person's hair and eyebrows are all fluorescent and weird. Especially those pupils, as if they can see through everything and see their own hearts. Thor was frightened, and his efforts to meet him began to weaken. You're the only one making noise here. Eileen looked at the other party and asked softly. A drop of cold sweat appeared on Thor's forehead, and couldn't help but start dripping down his face. The more time you spend in the other person's presence, the more you can feel the other person's pressure. This power made him tremble. It's screaming. Eileen lift. Hit him directly with a slap from your hand. Snapped. It's obviously a slap in the face, but this action will definitely feel a little bit girly when used on other people. But Eileen's blow was like an overwhelming force. No one would think that this slap is soft and weak, but they think that this slap can directly smash the planet into pieces. A red mark appeared on Thor's face, and then his brain buzzed. The whole person felt as if he had been hit by a high-speed train. Bang! The powerful force made him fly out directly, flying thousands of meters away in the blink of an eye. Before he could come to his senses, Lee's body suddenly disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already standing on the other side waiting for Thor to fly over. Quote. Roy, remember the whip kick? The calf was whipped directly on Thor's waist. Exclamation mark. It flew upside down again, speeding up again, hitting 2 tall buildings in succession and passing by. Damn, there's something wrong with this guy. Below Odin's eyes widened when he saw this scene, and then he reacted. At the moment Lee transformed, he also felt strong pressure. Even Odin has never felt this divine power before. A manifestation of divine power even more powerful than him. Did this guy get a blessing from some god? Or did he find the 4 gods and get their approval and inheritance? Odin does not know this. He only knows that if the current Thor can beat the opponent, he will be a ghost. In a hurry, Odin grasped the eternal spear and immediately wanted to go up and help. Thor had just been resurrected by him, and he didn't want this resurrection to be in vain. Hey, Odin, you are not allowed to take action on Earth. This is a rule. The Ancient One suddenly spoke at this time. Her eyes were fixed on Odin, the fan in her hand was still fanning. But this time, Ancient One's eyes were completely different from before. This is a serious look, and also a dangerous look. Ancient One. Odin tightened his grip on the eternal spear, as if he wanted to crush the gun body into pieces, and gritted his teeth. You already knew that, right? In Heliopolis, the void realm of Olympus, the gods, including Zeus, looked at the scene blankly, dumbfounded. This is different from what they imagined. Hercules, the god of Hercules, trembled with excitement, this guy was so powerful. Then he glanced at the gaming table, where? Posted it myself. I am, Thor. Thor was whipped away again, and acid water flowed out of the corner of his mouth uncontrollably. Huge amounts of power made his eyes bulge out, and bloodshot eyes exploded. Okay, but he still tightened his grip on the hammer and shouted his identity angrily in his heart. I am Thor. You would never lose like this. After forcibly exploding the seed, Thor stood upright while flying upside down. Then he tightened his grip on the hammer and hammered backward. He just saw a shadow, the other party wanted to wait for him to appear from where he flew out and then attack. As long as I seize this opportunity and hit the opponent. Bang. Everything goes according to Thor's plan. Lee did rush to his other side in an instant. When he arrived here and was about to punch out, Thor's hammer hit Lee with just one blow. Buzz. The hammer suddenly stopped, and the trembling hammer body could not stop. Under the shock, Mjolnir almost escaped from Thor's hand. Lee firmly grasped the surface of the hammer with his palm. Only the strength of the physical body cannot use the hammer. But Lee doesn't have the so-called heart of justice, nor can he obtain the rule left by Odin above. But he has divine power, which is higher than the divine power of everyone present. Comes from the power of the Super Saiyan God. With a squeeze, Lee directly held the hammer in his hand, out of Thor's control. Thor was shocked when he saw his weapon being taken away by the other party. His own weapon was caught by the other party. Mjolnir, my own hammer belongs to me. No one can take it away by force. How could I? You're not even worthy of using this hammer. Lee's voice sounded. Didn't your father tell you that you inherited even your martial arts from others? After saying that, Lee waved his hand casually. Mjolnir was thrown directly to the ground of New York Avenue, making a huge pit and falling into it. Seeing this, Thor wanted to summon him back, but the hammer didn't respond at all and fell silently. Sending you on your way. Lee didn't hold anything back this time, he just hit it. Chapter 93 Entering the Soul Castle. Ask for automatic subscription. Advertise here. Lee's punch suddenly came out. Huge amounts of power nearly tear space apart. This is not because he cannot tear apart space, but the effect of pure force rubbing against space. If Lee is willing, he can use other methods to tear a hole at will. But pure force. This scene made Thor, who was preparing for the impact, look horrified. The fear in my heart is infinitely magnified. In such a hurry, he didn't even have time to think about why his hammer was still in the opponent's hands. He could only cross his hands in front of his head and make a blocking movement. Bang. Rumble. With one punch, Thor's entire body shot out like a cannonball, heading towards the ground. Smoke and dust were everywhere on the ground, the huge pit sank 100 meters almost instantly, and the huge amounts of the pit extended to nearly a kilometer. The dust slowly dispersed, and Thor's body was gradually revealed. His body was covered in blood, and huge amounts of impact caused damage to the surface of his body. His body is several times that of a human being, and the cells of the average resident of the Aesir race are already 3 times larger than those of a human being. And as the son of Odin, he is much more powerful as the son of the god king. This kind of impact is nothing at all. Even if it hits a small planet that is passing by quickly, it will not cause any limbs to be broken. But here, the body was broken. Thor, who was completely unconscious, was breathing lightly, and he was just a hair away from death. It turned out like this less than 10 minutes after appearing on the scene. It's really miserable. You are the busiest in the playground and the file-size king in poker. That's it. Lee couldn't help but sneered when he saw his miserable appearance. If his punch hadn't been so powerful that it destroyed New York, he really wanted to finish it with that punch just now. It's not too late now. Lee stretched out all 5 fingers and pointed them at Thor below. The light suddenly appeared, and a series of energy bullets hit the 5 fingertips instantly. The burst speed is almost the same as Gatling. The Qigong bullets turned into golden red spiritual energy kept shooting out, without missing a single shot, and they all hit Thor's body. Puff puff. The energy passes through the opponent's body and disappears the moment it reaches the ground. The force he controls is neither too much nor too little, just enough to break his body without sinking into the ground and causing damage to the earth. He fired one shot after another, and then he stopped when he saw that Thor's body was in a state of disgrace, almost the same as a sieve. At this time, Thor had long since lost his vitality and became dead man again. It was really pitiful that he died here again without even visiting his mother after being resurrected for such a short period of time. Li glanced at the people in Stark Building. 223 found a group of people looking at him blankly, a little helpless. He knew he was playing too fast. To be honest, Li also wants to have a good fight. With the desire of his S cells, when facing an opponent like Thor, he should suppress his own fighting power and fight on the same level as the opponent. Only in this way can you fully feel the joy of fighting. But the problem is, he is afraid that doing so will cause damage to the earth. I'm also afraid that Gwen and others will be displeased. They are so powerful but have to delay the battle. Sometimes they can't understand this approach. I'm even more afraid that readers won't be able to accept it. So he can only choose the simplest way to fight. Spike. Have you seen enough? Li moved his eyes again, and his eyes fell on the door of Soul Castle. Gudong. A group of Soul Castle warriors were swept by this gaze. They all shrank their heads and subconsciously wanted to run away. But there were already countless people piling up behind them, and it was impossible to retreat. Instead, a stampede occurred. Gudong. Is this guy a monster? Thor died like this. Olympus, all the gods were frightened when they looked at the picture. Some gods even peed their pants when they were glanced at by this look in the stands. There are indeed a few gods here who can see, but some of them are extremely weak. They are just legendary existences in a galaxy or a planet, with very little strength. Where have they ever seen such a strong man? The most powerful person I have ever seen is Zeus on the stage, so when Zeus invited them, they all came here to attend the party. They don't even dare to go out. They won't be invaded here, and they won't be killed by gods. It's the safest place. Waterfuck. Zeus was also stunned by this scene in the top stand. The strength of Thor just now is definitely not much weaker than him. He is also a god king, but he has not practiced for a long time. He always felt that it was absolutely safe to stay in Olympus. It would be great to have time to eat, drink and have parties. If he had nothing to do, he would practice. Anyway, as long as he has a son, he can just practice. But now, Thor, who was only slightly worse than me, was killed. Also playing with thunder and lightning. The most important thing is. Just now, when Li glanced at everyone in Soul Castle. The screen happened to be facing him. That gaze seemed to see himself through a magic mirror created by his divine power. It must be an illusion. We are separated by countless light years in one dimension. There is no reason for him to see me. Yes, you can't see me. It's impossible for him, BCFD, to find the realm of the void. Zeus comforted himself in his heart and kept comforting him to make himself feel better. Zeus, stay well and don't ask for trouble, otherwise you know the result. But just when Zeus thought he had almost achieved his hypnotic ability, suddenly a slight whisper came from the screen. There's no mistake, the other person just mentioned was Zeus. In a hurry, Zeus hurriedly closed the screen, and then looked at the gods present and laughed. Well, the dance continues. Now let's enjoy the scene from my son Hercules, one man lifting 12 fairies. Oh, is she the fairy of the God King? God King Zeus, awesome. Everyone seemed to have heard something just now, but they all pretended not to know. After all, if they offended Zeus here, they would not survive. Hercules awkwardly stepped forward and raised a huge amount of stone platform. There were 12 naked women standing on the stage, all with graceful figures and extremely beautiful looks. Start spinning and jumping slowly, closing your eyes slightly. Li was not sure who was watching her from afar at first. But when he killed Thor, he felt the fluctuation of the opponent's divine power. Then the supervision is instantly activated. A mirror suddenly appeared in front of him. Through the mirror, Li saw a magical hall stage in the distance, and also saw Zeus looking directly at him. So, he threatened the other party. Sure enough, the mirror disappeared in the next second, and Zeus quickly disconnected. In this regard, Li felt that the other party was still a good god, at least more aware of current affairs than Odin who was present. What a fright. We won't die. When Li was thinking about each other, suddenly a voice from Soul Castle sounded, very powerful. Li looked up and saw a woman standing out from the Soul Castle. She looked at Li facing each other head on, unable to flinch. All around, other Aesir warriors glanced at Sif with admiration. Although this female warrior has just come to Soul Castle, that's so brave. Below, Odin's eyelids jumped when he saw Sif jumping out to challenge. Thor is dead, but he can still be resurrected in Soul Castle. Although he suffered a great loss, he could at least be saved. But this guy Sif jumped out to cause trouble, and suddenly the matter became difficult to end. At this moment, he suddenly felt that this girl Sif was really too reckless. I have long heard that the warriors of the Aesir clan are very brave. I thought it was a bit exaggerated. Only when I saw it today did I realize that it was true, and not only the male warriors, but also the female warriors are heroic. At this time, Ancient One suddenly said. But it can be heard that there is more teasing than appreciation in her words. This is making a fool of yourself. HMPH. Odin snorted dissatisfiedly and continued to raise his head. I feel a little anxious. It will be troublesome if it continues like this. I hope nothing happens. Troublesome Ancient One. If this guy hadn't been watching me from the side. Let him not take action on Earth, otherwise how could the situation develop to this point? Cut. Although the Ancient One is not sure what Odin is thinking. But I can also guess some. I couldn't help but sneer, this guy is just pretending. At their level, you can't tell how strong a person is. Eileen's strength has surpassed them. Not to mention Odin, she herself is definitely no match. The looming divine power displayed in him is not on the same level as them at all. She is withdrawing her hand now. Even if she ignores this matter, Odin does not dare to challenge Eileen. She didn't say anything about not going, because she knew clearly that even if she didn't stop him, Odin would find a reason to stay here. Sif. When Eileen saw this woman, she remembered her identity. When he was in New Mexico, he killed 3 Asgard warriors, and the other party was also killed by himself. I didn't expect that she could be resurrected in Soul Castle. Right. Suddenly I remembered that when I traveled through time, the next Thor movie was released, and I watched a little bit of it. It seems that the woman on Earth who had sex with Thor also received Mjolnir's blessing. Then he appeared in the Soul Castle inexplicably. So, the point of going to Soul Castle is the divine blessing of Asgard. That woman had Mjolnir's blessing and was able to be resurrected in the Soul Castle. Thinking about it carefully, I felt a little pitiful for this person for a moment. His eyes moved to the top floor of the Stark building, and then fell on Loki. Forget it, just don't mention it. Snapped. Loki had been paying attention, and suddenly felt his eyes locked, and saw Eileen's pitiful eyes at a glance. Subconscious association. Why should I look at myself? Why should I look at myself when Sif appears in Soul Castle? Then his eyes suddenly tightened and he thought of a possibility. The other party is pitying himself. As the second prince of Asgard and nominally the youngest son of Odin. But he is not qualified to enter the Soul Castle, that must be the case. Unhappy, Loki threw the glass of whiskey he had just received on the ground, furious. Hey, my cup. Tony looked at him unhappily. This is a customized model worth more than $500 in this life. I'll pay, Loki replied through gritted teeth. You can't kill us. We in Soul Castle are immortal. Sif looked at Eileen, feeling full of pride. This is them. Sigurd's power. So what if you are strong now? We can be resurrected infinitely. Even if you kill us, it will be meaningless. And we keep exercising in the Soul Castle and keep improving our strength. One day, when we return to the real world, you will no longer be able to catch up. While Sif was thinking about this proudly, he suddenly found that the people around him quickly retreated. Looking at them strangely, but I saw them all pointing forward, with fear in their eyes. How? Sif turned his head, then they saw Eileen disappear from where he was and flying towards them. The speed is not fast. Compared with the previous battle, it is more like going shopping. But just like that, the pressure on them from the other party became even greater. There is nothing more terrifying for anyone than knowing that you are going to die. It's over. Are you going to die again? What nonsense are you talking about? Although we can be resurrected, it does not mean that we are willing to die. The heavy warriors on the side couldn't help but murmur, and many even looked at Sif with disgust. What are you afraid of? We can all be resurrected. We are all Asgard warriors, how can we be afraid? Sif's face turned a little red when they said it, which was caused by anger. She didn't expect people from Asgard to be so timid. Everyone could only snort when they heard her words. They couldn't say that they were really scared. In fact, they are also helpless. Soul Castle can indeed be resurrected, but why do you need to train for battle after every banquet? Why do you have to die and resurrect after drinking too much? Not because the pain of death is real, but the state of having your head cut off is also real. I can be resurrected, but it hurts. So drinking too much can make them feel less painful. Can be more arrogant. But in this posture, how can one be drunk? Wine. Where's the wine? I want to drink beer. Are you drunk and drunk? Eileen was already standing in front of the crowd, listening to their commotion, and asked kindly with a smile on his face. As soon as the sound came out, everyone's body trembled, and then they smiled bitterly. It's over. Whoosh. Eileen was also very straightforward and did not give them any unnecessary pain. Speaking of which, I am also a kind person. A slender energy beam composed of golden and red spiritual energy appeared instantly. This energy beam is composed of his spiritual energy, and when it is continuously maintained, it is like a lightsaber. It's just that the length exceeds 100 meters. As well as sweeping across, the flaming aura on the beam directly passed through their bodies. Split in two without any hindrance. All the Aesir gods here instantly fell to the ground, their bodies cut in half. Some people did not die immediately and looked at Eileen with wide eyes, showing suspicion and disbelief. Did you just die like this? Sif looked at Eileen blankly, and her eyes slowly darkened. She was also one of the people who was beheaded. She doesn't understand that she is a warrior of Asgard. The people here are all warriors of Asgard. Why were they killed in an instant? Why was this happening? Is the opponent's strength really that strong? Is there really such a powerful being in this world? However, Asgard is obviously the strongest. Their bodies seemed to be decomposed, floating away one by one and turning into dust. Looking at this scene, Eileen did not stop because it made no sense. This is the rule of the Soul Castle. After this group of people die, they will become in this state. Their souls will be decomposed directly and then absorbed by the soul castle. After waiting for a while, the soul castle will reunite their souls and resurrect them again. In fact, soul castle is a bit like a reincarnation in hell. No, in the Marvel universe, there is not only hell, but also heaven and reincarnation. They are all a process of taking back the dead soul and then resurrecting it to reorganize the soul. Speaking of which, it's not surprising that Asgard has a soul castle, right? Killing these guys, Eileen did not turn around and leave. We're already at the soul castle. Why not go in and take a look? Eileen raised her feet and walked inside step by step, while her eyes looked around curiously. He was very curious as to why Soul Castle could take back the soul like this. Even the souls of Asgard who died fighting countless light years away can be sucked back. Why is it? Even Mephisto and others in hell need duplication to harvest souls. There must be some mystery here, which is not known to outsiders. Stop your steps. Eileen Fisk. Outsiders are not allowed to enter Soul Castle. Chapter 94 Father of Odin. Advertise here. Stop your steps. Eileen Fisk. Outsiders are not allowed to enter Soul Castle. Huge amounts of sound echoed around. Odin's tone was serious. A power emanated from his body. At this moment, countless people looked at him. Odin, who had not hidden his figure at all, was just exposed. After everyone looked at it, they noticed that Odin's body was taller than they thought. This was the first time they had seen Odin, the legendary god, with their own eyes. Not to mention, it is indeed quite impressive. Tony couldn't help but comment when he saw him wearing the armor. You get stronger with old age. Peter Parker commented. I feel danger in him. Gwen was a little serious. Her spider telepathy gave her a feeling the moment she saw Odin. Very strong. If you fight, you will definitely die. Hiding it so deeply, Loki couldn't help but mutter. They definitely know that Odin is very powerful. After all, the stories from the past to the present are spread in Asgard. But there are very few moments when Odin truly shows his power. Loki had never even seen Odin fight seriously. So he doesn't know how strong the opponent is, he only knows that he is very strong. The last time Odin showed his strength, he still had conflicts with the giants of Jotunheim. Then Odin went to save Thor himself, so as not to maximize the conflict between Jotunheim and Thor. Fierce armed conflict occurred, but Odin seemed very weak at that time. Even from the moment Bifrost emerged out of breath. It made Loki think that Odin didn't have long to live. How would he know that in fact, an Aesir god king like Odin? As you grow older, your strength will not decline, but will become stronger and stronger. And if the power grows too quickly, Odin will be a little tired and unable to hold on. So he will enter a dormant period once a year. Releasing this growing power can be regarded as a way to relieve it. After all, the growth in strength is indeed there. But can his body bear it? Whether his will can withstand such power? It's another story. If Odin doesn't do this, the powerful strength does not match his body, and he is afraid that it will explode directly. The people below also saw Odin's appearance. Some people didn't know who this was at first. But then I thought of the battle between Eileen and Thor just now. Plus Soul Castle, and the eternity in Odin's hand. After being connected in this way, the identity can be guessed naturally. The legendary god, my god actually has God King Odin. But why is he our enemy? Does God King Odin also want to deal with the earth? Don't be kidding. I didn't see that he was targeting Eileen. It seems that Eileen has angered the gods. It's over now. God King Odin appears, Eileen will definitely be miserable. There is no way he can be Odin's opponent, so what should we do? Is it possible that Odin can't defeat Eileen? As soon as these words came out, many people looked at the speaker with contempt. Do you believe this? That is God King Odin, who has lived for countless years. What is Eileen? He is immortal. It's from Earth. Is he powerful enough to kill the death god King Odin? Isn't this funny? It seemed that he was a little annoyed by the gazes of these people, and his blushing face suddenly couldn't help it. What's wrong? So what if it's not just the god King Odin? After all, he is also an enemy, so Eileen can't kill him. He is not immortal. Eileen, kill Odin. As he spoke, he shouted directly to Eileen in the sky. It's a pity that his voice was too low and could not ring through the sky. It cannot affect the overall situation. However, when many people saw Odin appear, they knelt down and worshipped him. The rumored god, at the moment, if you don't kneel down, how long will it take? They pray in their hearts. I hope Odin doesn't blame them when he kills Eileen. After all, it was Eileen who attacked Thor alone and had nothing to do with them. As soon as Odin appeared, Eileen was desperate, they could only do this. Seeing the people kneeling down below, Odin just glanced at him casually and ignored him. There are too many such human beings. It is also an honor for them to worship themselves and see themselves with their own eyes. Where do you think your mother is? At this moment, Eileen's voice suddenly remembered. This made Odin, who was smiling, stiffen and look at the sky strangely. Is he here, scolding me? This guy doesn't want to live anymore. Don't look, you are the one being scolded, as if you were brainless. Eileen didn't react when he saw him and continued to speak. I don't know how your father gave birth to you and asked me to stop now. When your mother gave birth to you, oh yes. Eileen was suddenly stunned when he said this, and then thought about it. Suddenly it dawned on me, as if I had discovered some secret. Your father is Bull and your mother is Bestra. A giantess, right, she's the kind of brainless giantess who keeps running and waving her arms when she sees meat. Refer to the brainless giantess in Attack on Titan. Asshole. God King Odin was once pointed at his nose and scolded like this. He even insulted his parents, and he immediately became furious and wanted to take action. Isn't it? Aili calmed down, with a trace of ridicule on his face, and spoke sarcastically. We are all enemies, and you still want me to stop and not go in. What do you think I'm doing, traveling to Seoul Castle? I can't touch it to prevent damage to the things here. You old bitch, you're just pretending to be cool with me. Fenrir has lived a long life. If you're unhappy, I'll wait for you here. Come and hit me. After Aili said that, he turned around and walked towards the door of Seoul Castle, not caring about Odin's reaction. Below, Odin was breathing heavily, his face was reddish, and one eye was about to burst into blood. Oh ho ho ho. On one side, Ancient One covered the corner of his mouth with a fan and burst into laughter. Ancient One. As if he felt he was being laughed at, Odin turned to stare at the Ancient One. The people below were stunned. What did they just see? Human Aili pointed at Odin's nose and cursed, then walked into the Seoul Castle calmly. And the angry Odin has an angry face as angry as a monkey's butt, but he doesn't dare to move. This. How so? It must be because God King Odin is inconvenient to take action. That must be the case. Let me tell you, Odin will definitely take action. That's enough. A bunch of shameless guys. Aili is from Earth, that God King is the enemy, are you all lackeys and traitors? Now he's actually helping the other person speak. God King Odin, to put it bluntly, isn't he just an alien? What's the difference between him and the people who just invaded here? Thor was killed by Aili, Odin is nothing. Aili can still kill him, but he just doesn't dare to do it. Listening to what was said around him, the person who was speaking to Aili just now couldn't help it anymore. He stood up and pointed at the noses of the people around him and cursed. He was really unhappy and didn't understand why a group of people wanted to lick an outsider. It's as if they can become gods if they lick each other. When Odin was angry, he suddenly heard someone below him keep mentioning his name, and the voice was quite loud. If you listen carefully, you are actually insulting yourself. Say you are no match for Aili. Suddenly I felt a little unbearable. Aili scolded him in front of him because he didn't want to freeze his hands. But an ordinary earthling would really think that the God King has no temper. Raise your hand and Odin is ready to kill him. What? You want to kill someone on Earth? Gu waved his fan, and a magic wall directly separated Odin. The two of them were in different spaces. If you want to fight with me, I will accompany you. Don't think that I won't dare to touch you after you have been the God King for a long time. On Earth, you have to stay well. Odin, who was isolated, also calmed down a bit. In a fight with the Ancient One, Odin doesn't think he will be at a disadvantage. But it's not necessary. What's the point of becoming an enemy for no reason? He glanced unhappily at the earthling who had just insulted him, damn guy. As annoying as Aili. HMPH. See, Odin. The man below was really shocked when Odin stared at him just now. I thought I might die here and be killed by Odin. But he didn't expect that the man wearing a monk's robe next to him would make Odin stop with a casual move. Is he safe? It turns out there is more than one Aili on Earth. Thinking of this, he spoke again. Did you see it? What Odin? It's just like what Aili said, he's just an old guy who can live longer by staring at him. There are also strong people on our planet. Besides Aili, there is someone who can deal with him. All the people around him were silent and no longer spoke. Okay, don't go too far. The voice of the Ancient One came, interrupting what he wanted to continue shouting. Although it doesn't matter if she scolds Odin, she is happy to do so. But no matter what, the other party is also a God King. Even if Odin is really serious about taking action when he is in a hurry. It was not easy to stop her, after all, it was this person who insulted the strong man first. However, Ancient One left a mark on the other party. At least, this man is quite brave. He dares to face Odin and scold him. As expected, the god's telekinesis should be quite powerful. It's a good seedling. There are two sides to the story. Seoul Castle is in dire straits. As the saying goes, there are no children left behind, but the corpses support each other. After Aili entered Seoul Castle, she thought of what Odin just said. As soon as he turned around, powerful energy swept across him instantly. The goalpost of Seoul Castle was also cut off. This action undoubtedly hit Seoul Castle and Asgard in the face. Haven't you been resurrected yet? Aili senses the status of the entire Seoul Castle. There are not many existences, and the batch of existences that were killed by him just now have not been resurrected yet. It seems that it will take a little time. However, he sensed a different existence. Aili, are you Odin's enemy? You're so brave, you dare to enter the Seoul Castle alone. As soon as the sound came from the depths, the sound was loud and mixed with oppression, which seemed quite intimidating. Asking for flowers. Aili's footsteps fell forward, approaching the central hall step by step. Soon he entered the palace. This is a large palace hall, full of European style. 12 white jade pillars are symmetrical from left to right. The beam supporting the top. There are some stone tables placed below, but at the moment they have been moved to the edge. There were some Asgard warriors sitting behind the table. These people had not gone out to the theater just now. At the moment they all looked at Aili with smiles, as if they were waiting for something good. The place where he was standing was a large open space with nothing in it. It was somewhat similar to a martial arts arena. At the end directly in front of him is a throne, with a man sitting on the seat. His muscles exploded and he was tall, seemingly over 4 meters tall. The beard almost covers both sides of the chin and the corners of the mouth, and there is a braid on the head, which looks like an imitation of the legendary Zhao Zilong's long braid. On both sides of his throne, there are 2 axes on the left and right. It is also very exaggerated, the axe head is at least about 40 or 50 inches. Who are you? Ai Li looked at the other side, somewhat unsure of the other person's identity. This guy has no impression. There must be Asgard warriors in the Soul Castle. But the problem is that he can't remember any of the Asgard legends that match the other person's identity. Don't you recognize me? The strong man laughed out loud when he heard Ai Li's curiosity, and then spoke lazily. You were scolding me and my wife outside just now, and you were very happy. Pol Blissant. After saying his full name, Ai Li instantly knew who he was. That's right, the other party is also an Asgard existence, and it is indeed normal to appear in the Soul Castle after death. 0. Porbrisson, the son of Bli, the first ruler of Asgard, was also the man who killed his father and usurped the throne. Ai Li has been subconsciously thinking that the people in the Soul Castle are all people after Odin. But they forgot that Odin's father was also a warrior of Asgard. After passing the throne to Odin, he has no problem entering the Soul Castle. It turns out it was the old guy who was staring at me. Ai Li suddenly realized the identity of the other party and spoke directly. Asshole. At this moment, Bolton from above suddenly shouted loudly. The powerful momentum was instantly transmitted from his body to the surroundings. Almost a wave of pressure hit Ai Li directly. At the same time, the Asgard warriors on both sides also stood up and stared at him with weapons in hand. It seemed like he was about to take action at any moment. This kind of momentum is indeed very grand. If you put it outside. This Bull is definitely a strong man, and his strength has definitely entered the level of a single universe. Originally the god king of Asgard, he had been in power for thousands of years. Then after handing over his position to Odin, he entered the Soul Castle alone and continued practicing. Up to now, according to the normal Marvel Universe time, it has been almost 7 or 8,000 years. I saw someone saying to me that Odin has lived for millions of years, so his father should be a person from tens of millions of years ago, and he also said that Odin created humans. That is a Norse mythology story in the real world, not the timeline of the Marvel Universe. Do you understand? Don't get confused, it's not appropriate to use this to spray me. It is definitely normal for the opponent's strength to increase. Having such momentum is what it should be. But this won't scare Ai Li. He did not take the initiative to compete with his momentum, but stood there calmly. The power emanating from the body directly wipes out the opponent's pressure. It didn't contaminate himself at all, as if there was no change at all. Interesting. Bull saw this scene and did not press again. Instead, he smiled, and then looked at Ai Li with an expression of appreciation. As a Midgardian, you are indeed very strong for being able to practice to this point. Join us. Asgard welcomes you. Let me join. Ai Li was stunned by these words, and then laughed out loud. I just killed your grandson. So what? Soul Castle can be resurrected. His death only shows that cultivation is not enough. The 9 divine realms are ruled by Asgard. You are qualified to be promoted to the warriors of Asgard. Join us, and I will grant you the recognition of Soul Castle. Even after you die, you can enter Soul Castle and become one of us. Immortal, you can transcend as much as you want here, until the day you want to leave, I can also give you a chance to resurrect. Bull said this with his hands spread out in a selfless smile. A pair of hands seems to be a warm embrace that can hold him into his arms and become Ai Li's father god. Acknowledge you as my father. You are thinking nonsense. Ai Li couldn't help laughing when he saw this scene, and said mockingly. If you could kill the goddess of death in front of me, I might even look up to you. Hela, you know her. Bull misunderstood that Ai Li was talking about his granddaughter Hela. He was a little surprised and then said. Okay, as long as you are willing to join us, I will grant you and Hela a marriage. Chapter 95. Fighting Poulbrisson, a bloody battle thanks to, please don't call me Panjay, for the reward. Advertise here. I have a bad mind. Ai Li shook his head helplessly. I told you death, you told me Hela. Are these two on the same level? If you have the ability, give me marriage and death, maybe Ai Li will really take a high look at her. But he knew that even if he gave the other party 100 courages, he wouldn't dare. You only have 2 paths now. Poulbrisson looked at Ai Li and spoke with a smile. First one, join us, Asgard will no longer pursue the past, and you will become a member of Asgard. The second, be killed by us. What do you think? Ai Li asked curiously. Now Odin is the god king, even if you were his father, in Norse mythology, nothing like that. Patricide is normal, and there are many other sexual behaviors. There's no use taking this. Of course it counts. Asgard is ruled by my son Odin. He is the real god king, but I am also qualified to speak. Soul Castle, dominated. What he means is that Odin has the final say outside, but with the other party's control of Soul Castle, he is also qualified to make suggestions, and Odin will cooperate. Unexpectedly. I didn't expect this guy to have some capital. Will you take action if you don't cooperate? Ai Li asked again. That's right. If you don't join, you will be dead. Your corpse will become the cornerstone of Soul Castle. Poulbrisson said sternly. He sighed helplessly and shook his head. Why does it have to be like this? What? Pulbrison asked with a frown. Why are you always forcing me? To be honest, since I started practicing, I have never thought about killing anyone or killing anyone. But either someone can't keep their mouth shut, or someone uses me as a demonstration. Can't we just sit down and have a cup of tea normally, have a chat, and talk things over? Eileen said helplessly. She has been a very talkative person from the beginning, right? Do you remember that among those who cross the 610 office, you should have a better temper? Look at Ancient One, come and invite me personally. When we arrived at the holy place, we made tea and chatted happily, and then had friendly exchanges. Is everyone going to be safe and sound soon? Entering the universe, watching Ronan. Although he was not a good person, he still invited him to come over in a friendly manner, and also gave him a star map of himself who had just entered the universe, so that he could successfully find Ego. Doesn't this mean that you are easy to talk to? But why? Didn't you kill Thor first? Bull asked with a frown. Could it be that the information he knew was new? Oh, really? Eileen was stunned for a moment and then recalled. No, it seems like your 3 Asgard warriors scolded me first, and then that Sif looked down on humans. The most important thing is that you treat the Earth as your back garden. You can come and go at will while still fighting on the Earth. Whether you agree or not. Pulbrison didn't want to hear what he said anymore. After all, the other party is an indigenous human being on the Earth. Beings who have not even entered the universe, there is no point in trying to reason with them. Isn't the Earth their back garden? It was conquered by Odin and incorporated into the 9 realms. What is it if it's not a back garden? If it were any other leader, the Earth would have been massacred by them countless times. Swinging it, Odin has been very kind. If Bor was still the God King, there would never be a developable powerhouse like Eileen on the Earth. No, Eileen shook his head and refused directly. Joining you in Asgard, what's the point of being immortal except in the Soul Castle? There are many Soul Castles in the entire universe that can destroy you. If Galactus doesn't like it one day, you won't even dare to fart. You, ignorant of good and evil. After hearing Eileen's words, Bull cursed unhappily. Even after all the talk, he still had the same attitude. He could also see that Eileen had no such intention from the beginning to the end. Just kidding myself. As soon as the words fell, Pulbrison also moved very quickly. He stood up and picked up the 2 big axes beside him, put them directly on his shoulders and walked down. Only then did Eileen realize that his height was definitely over 4 meters. His whole body exudes the aura of strength. Snort. Step by step down the steps, the moment your feet stand on the ground. A heavy breath spurted out from his mouth, and a stream of white smoke also dissipated from his nose. It's like the Minotaur venting its anger in movies that often appear. Eileen has actually discovered a long time ago that in addition to the cell strength of the Aesir people being greater than that of the people on Earth, the way of breathing is also somewhat different from that on Earth. The simplest thing is, when people on Earth breathe, only one nostril is working. I believe many people don't know this. Try it and see if you only breathe through one nostril. After waiting for a while, I switched to breathing through the other nostril. As for people in Asgard, both nostrils operate at the same time. What does this mean? They breathe more than the people on Earth. Definitely, this is off topic. Eileen just looked at the other person's breathing posture and couldn't help but think about it. At the moment of standing on the ground, with a strong force. The sudden force of 1 foot on the ground caused the thin layer of clothing on his body to instantly burst. Then, a suit of armor flew from behind and was put on directly on his body. This divine armor has accompanied me in battles for thousands of years, and I haven't worn it for thousands of years. Feeling the close-fitting armor, Bull couldn't help but reminisce. The blood on it contains the blood of countless gods. Today, you are qualified to stain it with your blood. After saying that, Bull took the lead with 2 axes. One stepped on the ground and rushed forward. A mark was left where the axe passed, as if it were a scar left by a sharp point crossing the space. Bang! Eileen didn't dodge at all and faced him head on. He has no weapons. Fists are his weapons. Bang! Eileen's speed is much faster than the opponent. It should be said that this Bull is not a speed warrior at all. His speed is not even comparable to Thor's. A muffled sound. Eileen and Bull's first contact confrontation came together. Neither of them moved, they were frozen in place. Eileen's fist hit the opponent's axe head hard, and the energy in the fist blocked the opponent's axe body, preventing him from taking any further step. Is this all you have? Bor felt a little disdainful of the other party's power. He thought he was so powerful. That's it. Definitely not. I'm just afraid of punching you to death. Eileen's lips twitched, and he increased his strength in the next second. The battles have always been about instant kills. To be honest, Eileen is a little disgusted. Instant kill, one-handed Qigong bomb, two-handed Qigong wave. One punch penetrated the opponent's head, and one kick directly shattered the opponent's body. From the beginning to the end, Eileen has never experienced a happy battle. And today I have the opportunity. There is the Ancient One on Earth restricting Odin, and no other enemies appear. Even if there is a crisis, he can teleport back there. And here, the opponent is Odin's father. Although his strength may not be as strong as Odin's, he is a good practitioner. He didn't want to miss this opportunity, so he suppressed his fighting power. Strong people also need entertainment. Wei Wei releases a little bit of strength and is now almost on the same level as the opponent. Bang bang bang. Eileen constantly bombarded Bor's whole body at an extremely fast speed. The Asgard warriors following Bull all around stared wide-eyed, and they couldn't even see the movement clearly. And Bull also attacked and blocked, taking advantage of the opportunity to take action from time to time. But every time he took a shot, Lee dodged it and counterattacked. You made me get serious. Brisson was punched in the abdomen, and his whole body flew backwards and hit the wall. After coming down, I stared at Lee closely. He didn't expect that Lee's strength was almost the same as his, or even a little higher. You didn't win the competition of strength. In this case, be more serious. Work harder, I'm waiting for your explosion. Lee said with a smile. That's it, getting stronger. It's so boring now. Although he suppressed his own strength and speed, he was so angry that file size was forcibly blocked by him at a level similar to the opponent's. But his perception is still there. The existence of supervision and superhearing makes Bull's movements appear to be in slow motion in his eyes. Almost like a snail, so he didn't feel anything during the fight. He couldn't help but want to close his eyes and then turn off his hearing. I am definitely happy to see the other party want to improve their explosive skills. Let me be more happy. HMPH. Then let me show you the real king of Soul Castle. Bull seemed to see Lee's arrogance, snorted coldly, and prepared to take action again. It is indeed different. In the Soul Castle, a powerful energy is pouring into the opponent's body. It feels like the other party is borrowing the power of Soul Castle. The two stood on the ground, looking at each other. The aura of wisdom surged out instantly, breaking through the sky. At the moment, the main hall of Soul Castle was also hit by huge amounts of impact, and the top was lifted off directly. Everyone around was blown away by the collision of their auras. Just the collision of the momentum and the power in the body caused a low roar of sizzling to spread in the air, and traces of sparks and lightning wandered in the air. In an instant, it seemed like two powerful air masses were blasted away by them, and the entire Soul Castle was split into two halves. This power spread from inside the Soul Castle outwards. When it reached the entrance of the hall, it poured directly into the earth. Everyone felt this power and could not help but stare at the door of Soul Castle with wide eyes. They wanted to know what was going on inside, but they couldn't see anything. Are you kidding? What kind of enemy did Lee encounter in Lima? Such a confrontation. Is this still a fight? Tony Stark just feels that he has lived so many years in vain. Why is it that just his momentum can make him breathless when fighting? So what should I do if I meet those people? Can I rely on my armor to fight them? Lee, this guy's strength. Odin looked at the main hall in surprise. This was a collision of divine powers. He knew who was sitting inside. But he didn't expect Lee to be able to fight him to this point in the Soul Castle. Brutz, don't let me down. Lee looked at the momentum displayed by the opponent and smiled. He is such an opponent, and it is interesting to continue to be strong like this. Snort. Boar also snorted coldly. There was a sound, and then the figure moved. His body was like a bolt of lightning. He stepped back and kicked the ground, arched his body and shot straight through in an instant. Rumble. The air he stepped on seemed to be cracked by him, and huge amounts of power caused a series of vacuums to appear in the air. The speed is still increasing, and he ducks directly in front of Lee. Seeing his actions, Lee's eyes lit up, and her golden pupils showed excitement. He swung out his fist and hit him hard. Boom. The collision between the fist and the axe body seemed like nothing happened. The two of them ducked away again at the same time, and then hit each other again. And the place where it was just touched suddenly erupted with bursts of sonic booms. Their battle is very simple, just constant collision, without any fancy moves. Bull is a powerful person. His movements are wide and open, and the axe body is swung down again and again with his movements. Not to mention Lee, although he did not enter the ultimate freedom of mind. But the subconscious actions are straightforward, and no energy is wasted on redundant actions. What the two are competing against is strength and speed. Can't see clearly at all. Can you still see? I don't even dare to look up. So strong. Is this guy really an earthling? He can actually fight like this with Bull. The soldiers hiding around them all retreated to the side, waiting for the battle to end in a daze. But their fighting never stopped, and they seemed to be getting more and more interested as they got older. Lee just found it very enjoyable. He practices the Super Saiyan God cultivation method, which condenses his own S cells. The biggest characteristic of this cell is its warlike nature. He likes fighting, and he likes evenly matched battles. The back and forth attacks are the most interesting. It's rare to have such an opponent. It would be pointless to kill the opponent directly. Bang. Rumble. Bang bang bang. The extremely fierce battle caused all the surrounding areas to be destroyed. Bull used all his strength, but still could not suppress the opponent. Asshole. Countless collisions had almost made his arms numb, and Bull couldn't help but shouted. The axe in both hands extended towards the back, and then suddenly was thrown forward. The moment it flew in, it seemed to tear apart the space and hit directly. Lee smiled when she saw this scene. That's it, make it even better. With a smile on his face and excitement in his heart, Lee stretched out his palm and pointed the axe at the opponent, which was a Qigong cannon. Rumble. The collision of huge force caused the axe to be reflected back instantly. Bull rushed out, grabbed the axe body, and started again. The battle between the two was very exciting, knocking down the ground from the sky. From a physical fight to a fight between an axe body and a fist. It's just that Lee was not injured from the beginning to the end. Bull has been feeling pain all over his body, and there are even wounds in some places. Damn, this guy's strength. During the battle, Bull felt something was wrong with himself and couldn't help but blink his eyes. The corners of his eyes were already bleeding. This was the injury caused by the wind from the opponent's punch when he just started. It's unbelievable that just by doing this, I let myself. This guy is hiding his clumsiness. This is not the opponent's true strength at all. He's kidding me. Bull soon understood that he was not a fool. If this continues, even if he doesn't lose, he will be exhausted by Ai Li's play and then be killed. Although Soul Castle can be resurrected, if you lose once, it is impossible for the opponent to defeat you a second time. Unless you engage in a delaying battle, dragging the opponent until they have no strength left. But who knows how much strength the other party has, and now Ai Li can't even breathe. Bang! Just when Bull was thinking about this, Ai Li suddenly flashed behind him. Don't be distracted while fighting. Hit me seriously. Ai Li's voice sounded, and at the same time he punched Bull directly. Bull reacted on the spot and used his axe to block it, but still couldn't block the opponent's power and was directly hit to the ground. A huge hole was created. Asshole. Bull, who rushed out of the smoke from the ground, cursed and fought back again. But his power was completely useless in front of Ai Li. Even if he didn't use all his strength to suppress his power, Ai Li still completely beat him in terms of fighting skills. If you continue like this, you will die. Boar knew this very well. At this moment, he suddenly smiled. Chance. Quiet. The moment Bull rushed to Ai Li, he suddenly shouted loudly. Later, Ai Li felt as if his body was being squeezed by something and he was unable to move. Hey, you've knocked me down. Seeing Ai Li stop, Boar was already prepared and chopped off Ai Li's head with an axe. For this opportunity, he took a lot of beatings. Chapter 96 The real monster appears. Angry Ai Li. Advertise here. Bull has been preparing for opportunities. After countless battles, how could he have no backup plan? When he discovered that Ai Li's strength was not simple, and that he was obviously hiding his clumsiness, he began to prepare for this sneak attack. Now is the time. The appearance of a divine power directly covered Ai Li's surroundings. The powerful solidification causes everything around the opponent to be squeezed inward. This is not the power of space, and Bull is not some messy setting like the god of space. His magical power is very simple, he controls the air. Is the god of air equal to the god of nothing? A joke. His godhead is production, and coincidentally he has no idea what his production can do. Then slowly turn to the air aspect. After entering the universe, almost all existences do not need air as a source of breathing. But he can control the gas around the opponent and then squeeze it, forcing the opponent to be unable to move, and then wait for his attack. It doesn't sound very strong. But Bull used this method to kill many strong men with sneak attacks. Even his father once lost in his hands like this. Seeing that Ai Li had no movement, he was immediately overjoyed. Bull instantly rushed in front of Ai Li, and was about to drop his axe. But at this moment, he saw the sneer on Ai Li's face. I suddenly felt bad. He quickly withdrew the axe and held it in front of him. Bang! At the same time, his figure flew out directly. How come? Bull got up from the ground and spit a mouthful of blood directly on the ground. Ai Li raised his head and looked at the sky and asked in confusion. His move is almost always successful. Even his father, who was stronger than him, was unable to resist his successful sneak attack. But the other party was completely fine. Just kidding. The squeeze just now, according to the Earth's terms, almost exceeded 1,000 atmospheric pressures. Can you withstand it? Bull didn't understand that his magical power was definitely a bug. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been studying this ability. 1,000 atmospheres of pressure can crush a being into pieces in an instant. As for the more powerful beings, such as the strong men of Asgard, their bodies are much stronger than those on Earth. So it will not be directly destroyed. But it can still freeze the opponent's body and prevent him from moving. But Ai Li has nothing to do. Can you still fight back? Your magical power is very interesting, but it's a pity that I don't have any paintings. Ai Li shook his head and replied with a sneer. My body is much stronger than you think. Even if your axe hits me, it will be meaningless. Not to mention that your so-called divine power has not reached a very high level at all. It was instantly disintegrated in front of me. Don't forget, Ai Li's training method is the Super Saiyan God training method. The word super in front of it doesn't just mean Super Saiyan, it also means Super Saiyan. There is also the meaning of Superman in it. With his current body, he can almost be said to be a man of steel. Even if it enters the core of the sun, it will not be destroyed. And in the later stage, it is enough to survive the explosion of the wall of origin that destroys the universe. An axe cannot break his defense at all. It is this that makes Ai Li feel a bit boring in battle, because the opponent cannot reach him at all. There is only one possibility to cause harm to him. That is, the power of rules controlled by the other party exceeds its own, and it essentially attacks itself for decomposition, which is the so-called perfect destruction. The remaining power weapons are meaningless. Besides, another reason why Ai Li is not affected by Bull's divine power is the divine power. After entering Super Saiyan God, although he suppressed his own power and was at the same level as his opponent. But divine power does exist. Before the other party's divine power touches its surroundings, it should be completely suppressed. To put it bluntly, Bull is not qualified to use divine power in front of himself. The inferior wants to use willpower to control the superior, so that the inferior can overcome the superior. This is a joke in terms of divine power. Asshole. As if his plan had been exposed. Bull cursed angrily, and then rushed forward to fight again. Are you ready to get spanked? Ai suddenly asked at this time. This sentence made Boar startled. What does it mean? Although I will still suppress the power next time, I won't be so merciful. I want to play for a while longer. After saying that, Ailee's whole state changed. Come and feel the real battle, Bull. As soon as he finished speaking, Ailee's body completely relaxed, as if he didn't care about the battle. Then, the powerful flame-like aura on his body slowly dissipated. The person who advanced was instantly replaced by a powerful silver-white arrogance. The fluorescent silver flowing all over his body emanates. What are you talking about? Boar has never heard of this thing. It sounds like a cultivation method. But what is it? Why is the other party's status different? Why does it feel like the other person is no longer a person, but a god without emotions? Shaking subconsciously, Bull felt that something was not going right. No matter what kind of existence or type of creature they are, they always think before reacting when fighting. In this way, the speed will be limited. Ailee's body walked towards Bull step by step. His footsteps touched the air, and ripples appeared the moment he landed, as if there was water in the air supporting him. The 5 senses in the brain are transmitted to the body through nerves. This time seems very short to ordinary people, less than a moment. But for a combat existence like ours, we may have collided hundreds of times in 1 second, so this series of processes is enough to eliminate countless opportunities for action. If every part of the body can judge and act on its own, it can avoid any danger and make the best offensive decision. Moving step by step casually, Ailee's whole body was in a relaxed state. He looked at Bull with a casual look in his eyes. Isn't that just animal instinct? You have regressed from a human being to a brainless animal. Bull said disdainfully. In her opinion, what the other party said was nonsense. How is it possible to win by fighting like this? You still don't understand. But it doesn't matter. I'm not saying it to make you understand. I just want to say it. Ailee shook his head and said that the movements of animals also need to be thought about. Being stupid does not mean that they have no brains. Their hunting and fighting will also go through a series of processes. The true freedom of mind is not some animal induction. Feel it for yourself, maybe you will understand. Ailee's voice fell, and his body flashed past. Bull's eyes widened, but he couldn't see the other party's figure. He couldn't even see clearly where the other party was. Where? Above, left, right, still, bang. Bull was still looking for the opponent's figure, and in the next moment, Ailee directly grabbed his shoulder, and then simply threw him over the shoulder. Before he could react after landing on the ground, Ailee kicked him in the chest again. Whoosh. Bull opened his eyes in confusion, huge amounts of pain appeared in his body. The other party didn't lie. This strength was still familiar. Pretty much the same as before. But speed and fighting style are completely different concepts from before. Bull, who flew upside down, felt the joy of flight, and he flew thousands of meters away. Before he could straighten himself, another force hit his back. Left, right, fly upside down, fly sideways. Hit the ground. Left hook, right hook, straight punch. Bull felt what it means to be a person's storm. Ailee is like an invisible fighting machine now. Every time he takes action, the timing is stuck. Originally, he couldn't see the other party's movements clearly, but now it's better. Finally got a chance, but before he could take action, Ailee diffused his attack and counterattacked. He was like a sandbag, being knocked around and kicked around in the Soul Castle. Bang. Finally, Bull was knocked away to his throne. After he fell to the ground and determined his position, his eyes widened. He knew that Ailee's next move was coming again. No, if you continue like this, you will be beaten to death by the other party as a sandbag. This is an opportunity. Bull didn't want to fight back anymore. Taking advantage of the throne's cover, the other party didn't hit him immediately. In the blink of an eye, he pressed a mechanism next to the throne. Instantly, the god's telekinesis headed towards the rear. Huge amounts of the cave door opened, and darkness appeared in front of everyone. Huh, Ailee frowned. What are you doing? Want to run? What is this channel to other places? Ailee doesn't think he can resist opening a door now. Don't rush to attack, he wants to have a good fight today. If Bull has any other means to become stronger, that would also be pretty good. In the face of absolute strength, there is no need to be afraid of what the other party will do. In the next second, Ailee's expression changed and he became a little bored. It turns out it's not about escaping or a way to become stronger. There is no artifact like the heart of the universe to make Bull stronger. Just one person. An Asgard person, the kind with divine power and strong strength. The opponent's chi is much stronger than Bull's due to Ailee's induction. It just seems a little unstable. Bull found a helper. Come out. When Bull saw Ailee, he did not continue to attack, but instead waited for him. After shouting inside, he turned his head and opened his mouth and smiled at Ailee. His smile was a little sad, his face was swollen, and his front teeth were gone. The handsome armor he wore before was also in tatters at the moment. The blood from the corner of his mouth flowed to his chin, and he didn't even wipe it away before smiling at Ailee. In this case, he wouldn't think that his smile was a sneer, would he? All you can see is the silly smiles of the two fools at the door. You're dead, Bull said to Ailee. While he was speaking, a figure walked out of the dark door, stepping out step by step. Roar. The other person who walked out roared angrily, and the sound resounded throughout the world, covering everything up. The body shape can also be seen clearly. He is even taller than Bull, nearly 10 meters tall. Huge amounts of doors were not enough for him to stand up straight, so he could only bend down and walk out. There are numerous wounds all over the body, it looks like. Li frowned. Was abused. This guy's body is not the kind of injury that has been sustained by swords, guns, axes, swords, halberds and hooks after going through countless battles. But a whip. The scars are all traces of whips, and the marks left behind are obviously whips similar to iron chains. There is still a trace of blood left on the mark. The rules of divine power prevent the opponent's physical body from being able to recover all the time, and will be constantly destroyed. This guy offended Bull, and was abused by him. His mind started to become unclear. In order to keep his thoughts from dying, he kept his soul still able to obey even though his body was dead. I let him feel the pain day and night. As long as the pain deepens little by little, his will not die. Bull laughed loudly and said, with excitement and pride in his tone. Being able to control this powerful existence in your hands. It is indeed worthy of him to be proud of. He is my weapon. How about it? Do you feel trembling and scared? Li, you forced me to release him, be prepared to die. Li frowned as he looked at the giant. What he cared about was not the other's strength. But the other party's state should be the same as what Bull said. He was not lying. This guy has been tortured. I know that this guy can't even speak anymore, and all that's left in his eyes is animality. Roaring is his only way to vent, and his hateful eyes regard everything as an enemy. He went through countless tortures, and his body died, so his soul entered the soul castle. In order to prevent his will from dying here and then die in his soul state, Bull left the soul castle. So Bull kept torturing 590 and making him hate him. Make him angry, make him unwilling, but unable to escape, he could only be tortured, then became crazy, and finally fell into madness. Thousands of years of constant torture have turned him into a madman who cannot speak a word or think about his ability. All he could do was follow Bull's arrangements. His eyes moved on Bull and this man, and then he was shocked, and he had an incredible idea. This guy, it can't be your father. Paul Blissant. When Li said this guess in person, her body began to tremble a little as Boar said. But it's not fear or excitement, but anger. Paul Brisson's throne was obtained through patricide. He killed his father and became the second god king of Asgard. His father's name is Bully. He was the first ruler of Asgard, and he also paid tribute to the power of Asgard. He is the existence of the first generation of Asgard. The formation of the Tree of Life created the current 9 world civilizations and then connected them together. And Bully found the Tesseract and built the Bifrost to connect the 9 realms. In order for Asgard to exist forever, he used the World Tree to create Ragnarok. Bully knew that every civilization would die one day, so he used Ragnarok to let Asgard be destroyed, then reborn in the destruction, and rebuild in the annihilation in this cycle. But he died in a sneak attack by his son Bolbrisson. You killed your father, but instead of letting him live a normal life in Soul Castle, you tortured him day and night. To be exact, it's 7,264 years. Bull corrected with a cheeky smile. So, is his strength beyond your expectation? I didn't expect that he would actually become stronger after going crazy. His soul seems to be unrestricted and can accept that the Aesir become stronger with age. Even I couldn't help but tremble for a long time, afraid that he would wake up. But now I can be sure that he has completely obeyed my instructions. He is now my dog. Li stared at the other person. For the first time, Li was truly angry. This guy had no so-called feelings at all. As for what the other party said about being able to become stronger all the time. Isn't it? The other party is Bully, the first king of Asgard, a legendary existence. Damn it. Li looked at the other person and said. Kill him first and then talk about it. Don't die in his hands. Bull was not afraid of Li's words at all. Instead, he clapped his hands and said. The sound of clapping sounded, and the next second, beast-like Bu Li came towards Li. The speed surpassed all previous existences, and as if a flash of lightning flashed, he was already standing in front of Li.